and welcome to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. I'm Pep Fernandez. That's Jeff Gorham. Greg Holla holding it down in the studio. What a Wednesday. So excited to talk local sports and big national headlines, Jeff, going down today. I love it when the NFL has headlines or college basketball and it comes back to the IE. There's local angles to everything we're talking about, and all these things people are talking about across the country, and they come right back to the 951 and the 909. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, I'm hanging out here in lovely Menifee. I got my deck is all redone. I'm hanging out by the pool and talking to you, and I'm ready to talk some sports.
Listen, I want a picture of you on your new deck, because right now, if you're watching us live and amplified on the channel, it's just a picture of you on the telephone, on the hotline inside the studio.
Well, if I send you a picture, it'll be shirtless.
No!
And I'll be hanging out by my pool.
No, there's a no shoes, no shirt policy on this show, man. You got to have a shirt on.
Well, no, you just said no shoes, no shirt. I'll have neither one of them on. If you're lucky, I'll have some pants on.
Oh, if we're lucky. If you're watching us live on the channel, man, here's a beautiful look at the golf course behind me. Again, Orange County has opened up their doors. They've opened up their hearts to the Inland Sports Show. And just like, Greg Holla's favorite band, Creed, the band, that's Greg Holla's favorite band. Just like they would sing, Jeff, with arms wide open. They have welcomed the Inland Sports Show deep into Orange County, just like Greg's favorite band. So we appreciate that.
Did you really some Creed?
So, well, I don't know Creed. It's because Greg Holla knows Creed. So I just heard it because of him.
Oh, you know that guy's crazy. The lead singer's nuts.
Is he?
Crazy.
I don't know.
He is. A buddy of mine who used to be the basketball coach at Liberty University was a very good friend of the lead singer. And I've heard some crazy stories about that guy. He's insane.
With arms wide open. That's how Orange County, like when they saw the Inland Sports Show, like barreling down the 55 freeway, they just opened up their arms like the lead singer of Creed, and we just bursted through. So that's exactly what happened. Greg knows what I'm talking about. He loves Creed, so he knows what I'm talking about.
All right.
So we've got a lot of stuff to get to. The big thing is we start right with the NFL, because even though it's the NFL offseason, there's so many things going down right now. Oh, and Greg's playing a little Creed for us because I knew he would. I know he got it queued up. It's probably actually from his own iPod or something. It's probably from his own personal collection, breaking out the Creed for the people of the Inland Empire, because I know you don't have it, Jeff, and I don't have Creed. That must be Greg Holla's.
Yeah, not me. I have nothing but rap music. I have nothing but hardcore rap in my repertoire.
The dirtier, the better. That's what Jeff says.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? Greg actually texted me. He says, it's playing Eyes Wide Open. See, I didn't even know the name of the song. I'm saying Arms Wide Open. Greg had to correct me because, again, Greg's the Creed expert on the show. So thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. So we got NFL to get to. Jeff, this is the big thing, and I can't believe this is kind of coming together, because the Los Angeles Rams, they've already had a very busy offseason now that the NFL free agency is wide open. But Odell Beckham Jr., who's kind of in the crosshairs of the Giants right now, not doing too well with his off-the-field stuff, but now his name is being linked to the Rams. The Rams might pull off a trade to bring in OBJ. That's another guy who's a little on the shady side, Jeff.
Hey, but what did I tell you? What did the Rams need in order to keep that offense so viable and, just dominant? I said they needed a number one, and he is definitely a number one. He might be a number one or number two in the entire NFL. So I hope he becomes a Ram, just because I'm a Ram fan, and I'll tell you why. You can take those guys, the kind of the shadier guys, the rough edges, because look at what Dallas has done. Look at what the Oakland Raiders have done in the past. I think Los Angeles is a better place for those kind of guys, because you're not going to hear the management, the owners involving themselves into the lives of these players. You have a young coach who's going to barrel down the hatches, and they're not going to screw up because they're in their third year coming back to Los Angeles. Why would they ruin such a good thing and ruin really a legacy for these young guys if they can go on and be dominant in Los Angeles?
Listen, later in the show, we're going to hear from Rams head coach Sean McVay, but here's what makes me nervous. The Rams, are on the right path. This is a playoff team, I dare say a Super Bowl contender team. Um, I would tread delicately because you've already got a great thing in place. Now you're adding new pieces. Now the food for thought is, okay, if we add these other pieces, these other all pros, and Dominican Sue, Marcus, they made the trade for Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib, possibly now Odell Beckham Jr. if they bring him in. You would think, okay, you're adding these all pros to the team, you're automatically just going to be better. But there's something to be said for team chemistry. That's why I would be very delicate with this situation because the Rams already had a great thing going. You don't want to, flush it all down the drain for the simple fact that, well, these guys on paper are all pros. We're just going to throw them into this locker room and we're automatically going to get better. I think you got to be kind of careful because just because you add more talent doesn't necessarily always make you better. But on paper, on like on the field, just talent wise, yeah. If you add OBJ, I don't think there's a weak spot on the LA Rams anymore.
No, and the thing is, let's think about Odell Beckham when he was in college. Was he that crazy, out of control guy? No, he really wasn't. He was really playing. I mean, he was a team guy. He didn't get kind of goofy until he was in the limelight of New York City, and like most great receivers in the NFL, they have to show their personality per se. The Michael Irvins of the world; those guys always showed their personality, but his personality really hurt him. His off the field antics, the pictures in the last 2 weeks of him, with a woman in bed and supposedly stuff on the table that would be definitely banned by any NFL standards.
Mm-hmm.
The guy has to fix his image. And what better time to start over in a new place? Los Angeles definitely under the spotlight, but the guy will have to play for an extension. He's probably not going to sign the big 5-year deal, 3-year deal. He's going to sign a 1-year deal, and the best bet is to be on his best behavior and play hard like he did in college, like he did at and certain times of his NFL career. He's been a very dominant figure.
Well, we're going to dive deeper on OBJ later in the show, and also, like I said, hear from Rams head coach Sean McVay. He was interviewed by the NFL Network, and we're going to hear from him about the possibility of Odell Beckham Jr. joining what they already have, a really good team with the LA Rams. The other big NFL news that broke today, and we kind of been talking about this, Jeff, for the last couple of weeks because the writing was on the wall, that the Denver Broncos finally pulled the trigger and made a trade to bring in Sua Cravens, the pride of Vista Marietta High School and USC. He is now a Denver Bronco as they've made a trade with the Washington Redskins. This is another subject as we go through the Inland Sports headlines that we'll revisit later in the show. But I think this is probably the best possible scenario for Sua Cravens is to get out of Washington and get a fresh start, especially with a team like Denver who is strong on the defensive side of the football. I think there's nothing bad about this. I think it's all good for Sua Cravens.
Oh, I agree with you 100% there. And if we're going to talk about it later in the show, I got a lot of things to say about it. The guy is crazy for one, but maybe his kind of crazy and starting over will do well for him, especially in Denver.
Yeah, I just think he's misunderstood. And sometimes, and maybe that goes, we compared him and Kawhi Leonard, the King High School product for the San Antonio Spurs, that, when you don't come out and say a lot, when you send out cryptic messages on social media, things can easily be misconstrued and people don't really have the right idea of what's going on because there's no clear line of communication. So we'll talk about Sua Cravens, but he has been traded to the Denver Broncos. So if you're a Raiders fan or a Chargers fan, you'll get to see him at least twice a season now flying around that secondary for the Denver Broncos. Jeff, a real stinky situation broke out last night at Chavez Ravine. And I mean, it really broke out as a broken sewage line spilled out onto the field at Dodger Stadium during the Freeway Series. So it was called after 5 innings. The Dodgers won by a score of 4-3. I've seen postponements for a lot of different things. I don't think a sewage spill, I can't remember if something like that ever happening at a game I've seen or been to.
I will say this. It was just like playing in the old Dodger Stadium.
Dun, dun.
I had a chance to watch the game last night and was watching with my wife's kids. And I said, wait a second here. What the heck's going on? And then all of a sudden, I turned up the volume because I had the kids were running around, and they said the game is being called, and then they said it was being called for. I was like, come on, only in Los Angeles. But luckily, it wasn't during the season, and a nice dress rehearsal to get your stadium in gear.
Yeah, I follow our good friend Trent Rush, who joined us on the show yesterday, and I was, I'm hanging out with the family, so I'm trying to stay off my phone. I'm trying to stay off my computer. I put my phone down. I'll walk away from it. I go jump in the pool. I bought the new Star Wars last night, which I'm still really mad at, but I watched it anyways. But when I was flipping through Twitter, I saw Trent Rush said, "Oh, this game's been suspended. Don't know if they'll resume." And I'm like, "What in the world is going on? There's no storms. There's no lightning. Like, what's going on? Like, what's going on?" And then I saw all the pictures, and I saw some of the players tweeting some things out saying that it really stunk deep inside the clubhouse. Like the bowels of Dodger Stadium reeked because it was seeping deep inside the veins and intestines of the stadium. So it was real stinky out there. But again, it was just an exhibition. No big deal. They'll get set for their season openers coming up tomorrow now for Major League Baseball. I was kind of bummed I didn't watch it, but I was glad to see some pictures in a weird kind of morbid way, I guess.
Well, I will say this. You talked about Trent Rush there, our friend. I listened to him after the game. I just turned him on. Hey, I'll tell you what. He has some wacko phone callers. He's literally like doing verbal karate with all of the different people that call in.
Really? They give him a hard time?
Well, they're just wackos. A lot of, I mean, they just let anybody talk. So
Jeff, did you call him last night? Did you call him last night?
No, but I think I'm going to call him as Rich Jeff one day, and he'll have no clue.
Oh, my gosh. What a great – you've had a lot of good ideas, but that might be your best yet. Calling is Rich
I'm getting him.
Because, come on, Rich Jeff in Orange County, like that's totally, right up his alley. That could totally happen.
Yeah, if my kids weren't asleep, I'd be going Rich Jeff right now. But,
But here's the thing. Rich Jeff, he probably actually exists somewhere down here in Orange County where I'm near. Like he's probably here.
In fact, I know many Rich Jeffs. That's where I got the character.
Some guy talking about OBJ on my backswing.
Oh, you're killing me. I want to do it so bad and I can't.
Hey, a special moment on the diamond last night. I'm not talking about all that sewage and gross stuff spilling on the Dodger Stadium, but I don't know if you saw this last night, Jeff. As a real big baseball fan, Vlad Guerrero was one of the best hitters of all time. In fact, he's going into the Hall of Fame as an Angel, the first Angel to go to Cooperstown, wearing that big A. But his son, Vlad Guerrero Jr., hit a walk-off home run for Toronto last night. And not only did he hit a walk-off home run, Jeff, but he did it back in Montreal where Vlad Guerrero got his start with the Expos. Did you see the video of this? It was unbelievable. A walk-off home run in Montreal by Vlad Guerrero Jr.
I did, and that's the only game they play in Montreal all year, every year. That's usually the last game for the Toronto Blue Jays play their last game in Montreal every spring league. So it was really cool. And I want to say it was really more for the Montreal than anyone else, just because, Vlad was such a big figure when he was there, no longer a team there, but it was really nice to see him hit that home run and everybody jump on him after he touched home plate. A great moment for Vlad Jr.
Yeah, just unbelievable. As a baseball fan, I know this probably could have slipped through the cracks, because we talk a lot of Dodgers and Halos on this show. But Vlad Guerrero, who's going into Cooperstown as a Halo, having his son going back to Montreal where it all started for his dad and hitting a walk-off bomb. I don't care if it was a spring training game, an exhibition game, but man, to do that. What was it? Olympic Stadium? Wasn't that Montreal Stadium? Olympic
Yes,
Stadium?
it was.
Yeah, Olympic Stadium. Unbelievable. That was so cool. It was awesome to see. Also last night for the UC Riverside Highlanders baseball team, they're back in action. They lost last night at Fresno State 11-5, but they keep hitting some bombs. Connor Cannon, which, Jeff, if you have a name like Connor Cannon, of course you're getting home runs. But what's your nickname for Connor Cannon?
Thundar the Barbarian.
Dude, he looks like he's straight out of like the Conan movies. You know what I mean? Like he walked out of a cave with a big club and he just socks home runs all day.
He's like a real live version of Bam Bam from the old Flintstones.
Yes, exactly. So Connor Cannon went deep. Matt Hardy went deep. That's another great name if you're going to hit the ball real hard, is Matt Hardy. Both of them went deep, but they lost 11-5 against Fresno State. So right now, they're 10-10 overall, and they jump right into Big West Conference play beginning tomorrow at home against UC Davis. That's a 3-game set against the Aggies. And I'm going to assume that our guy Ghazal Hassan's going to be on the call. Have you talked to old Gizzle lately?
The only time I talked to Gizzles, he covered for John Ramey while he was working the Elite Eight. He was up in Fresno State as Nevada played Fresno, so he covered for him. But I assume will be on the call for the 3-game series. But I will say this: the Highlanders are 10-10 with the youngest team in the Big West, and I'll tell you what, Coach Percival's done pretty good. We talked to him. He said they were lacking hits early in the year. They're starting to hit the ball. They're going to be pretty formidable in the Big West. The Big West is by far in the top 3 conferences in the country.
Yeah, the Big West is really good for baseball. So to go 10-10 through non-conference, and like you said, the run production starting to come around. So I think the Highlanders will be right there in the mix for Big West Conference play. But it is tough. So many good teams in the Big West Conference. And coming up at 4 o'clock, Jeff, we're going to hear from the head coach of Santiago's baseball team, tied to Trinidad. They're out there at the National High School Invitational, which is it's kind of the unofficial national championship tournament for high school baseball, and the Sharks are the first ever team from the Inland Empire to go there. They opened up play today against American Heritage from Florida, the #1 ranked team in the entire country, and they lost a heartbreaker, 1-0 the final score. But Coach de Trinidad still gracious enough to join us coming up at 4 o'clock, so we'll have a live report from Florida as Santiago will be back in action tomorrow at the tournament. So that'll be fun. And we had Coach Trinidad on the show not too long ago, Jeff. Remember, we tried to do his game against Servite, so I wanted to see the Sharks in action actually on the diamond at some point this year before they went to the National High School Invitational. But we got rained out and hailed out as well. Actually, I should say we did, because when the hail came down, you ran. You ran to your car. You left.
Well, I was bruised. I had bruises on my forehead from being pelted by hail walking to my car. Running to my car, I should say.
You were running. You got out of there so fast. It's all brought to you by our good friends at Spoiled. Quick quality oil change. You'll be spoiled by great customer service and low prices. Come on, guys. It's in the name. Spoiled. Ken Sporting Goods, more than 40 years in the Inland Empire. They got your Letterman's jackets. Oh, and all your sporting gear needs. Helmets, baseball bats, cleats, soccer balls. They do it all. Ken's Sporting Goods out there in Horsetown, USA. Norco. Boost performance training with Coach Ray Bass. Ask for him by name. That's Ray Bass. He's the best. It doesn't matter which sport you're in, lacrosse, golf, baseball, football, track. He's going to get you faster. He's going to get you bigger, stronger. It's Ray Bass at Boost Performance Training and his team. And Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road, where you can buy, trade, and finance all in the same spot. Listen, there's no headaches. There's no pressure. You get onto the car lot, you pick the car you want, or the truck, or the minivan in Jeff's case, and they'll make that car shopping experience so easy. I'm talking about Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road. When we come back here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM, we will go second level as we talk more about OBJ and a possible move to the Rams. We'll hear from head coach Sean McVay when we come back. It's the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM.
Focus on the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. Just greet them, get them going, and they're done in about 10 minutes or so. We don't push any sales on them. We do the oil change, And I think that's what sets us apart is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. You come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
I played once upon a time at Centennial High School. I was actually on the first ever CIF championship team back in 2000, and then my senior year we won it again. I think that's my passion because I've done it. You know, I know exactly where these athletes are at. I know what their mindset is right now. I know how hard it is to, number one, find a performance coach who can take you to the next level. What sets us apart has to be, you know, how we work with our athletes and what we know. We can take an athlete and you know, help them reach their athletic potential, you know, help them, you know, prevent injuries, help get them stronger. I know every single step into this gym, I know exactly where they're at, and I'm going to progress them every week. If you're not getting results, then, you know, really what's it about? We're going to deliver something that's measurable, you know, in terms of speed, power, you know, strength, agility. I played once upon a time at Centennial High School. I was actually on the first ever CIF championship team back in 2000, and then my senior year we won it again. I think that's my passion because I've done it. You know, I know exactly where these athletes are at. I know what their mindset is right now. I know how hard it is to, number one, find a performance coach who can take you to the next level. What sets us apart has to be, you know, how we work with our athletes and what we know. We can take an athlete and you know, help them reach their athletic potential, you know, help them, you know, prevent injuries, help get them stronger. I know every single athlete who steps into this gym. I know exactly where they're at, and I'm going to progress them every week. If you're not getting results, then, you know, really what's it about? We're going to deliver something that's measurable, you know, in terms of speed, power, you know, strength, agility.
And welcome back. It's the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. Just like Greg's band Creed down here in Orange County, because they have welcomed us with their arms wide open down here deep in the OC. Jeff, we are talking NFL football, and the big news coming out today is that OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., could be possibly going to the LA Rams in a potential deal here. It sounds like the Giants are looking for a couple first-round draft picks for OBJ, and if you're the Rams, like we talked about in the first segment, that number one top-of-the-line receiver might be the only missing piece right now, the only glaring missing piece for the Rams as they look to go into next season.
Yeah, I mean, that's really they've shored up their defensive issues by bringing in three great players to really bolster probably right now the best defensive group in all the NFL. Their offensive last year was explosive. They went from last to first in a year. Coach McVay really seems to know how to coach these guys, but they lost Watkins. Now they got to bring in somebody. And honestly, I think Beckham is the guy that could really be that number one.
All right, let's hear from Rams head coach Sean McVay. He was talking about the possibility of bringing in OBJ to this Rams team that already has a lot of characters. We'll call them characters right now. So let's hear from Sean McVay, and then afterwards, Jeff, we're going to kind of digest, could OBJ work with this Rams team now that they've brought a lot of guys in who might have some character issues? Here's Sean McVay, the head coach of the LA Rams.
I think you always want to be mindful, Peter, of the guys that you take on in your locker room. But I think at the same time, just like I was mentioning earlier, if these guys love football, we feel like there's a commonality that exists. We want to be intentional, first and foremost, about developing and building relationships with these guys. And, I think as long as we all have an understanding of what we're trying to get done, we're all working in the same direction. We feel like that, good things can happen. We got a lot of good core pieces in our locker room that we feel like are in place, and then when you supplement them with players like that, we're not afraid to try to bring as many good football players into our locker room as possible, as long as we feel like they fit. And I think that was the biggest thing when you look at the guys that we have acquired with Marcus, Aqib, and now Ndamukong. If something like that happens down the road, we want to make sure it's a fit for us, but certainly all these guys are great football players too, and those are something that surely makes you look like a better coach.
See, Jeff, now here's the deal. So Sean McVay was just talking about the fact that these are guys who, might have some character issues, but they feel like they're good fits for the Rams. Like they feel like they're a good fit for what the Rams are trying to build right now in Los Angeles. That's where I want to tread delicately, because again, they already have a very great thing going, and they're young too. That's the best part. The Rams are really young. They're going to be good for a long time. I just don't want them to stray too far off this plan and bring in guys who might you know what I mean? Like they might disrupt what they have going on right now. Are they great all-pro players? Yes. Could they also be like an atomic bomb, and they're going to blow up what the Rams have going on right now and dismantle that? I hope not. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're adding more talent, but sometimes more talent doesn't always equate to a better team.
Well, let's kind of look at this maybe from the owner's perspective, and then maybe as a coach's perspective. If you're the owner of the Giants, if you were, John Mara or Steve Tisch, the owners, they're tired of dealing with the questions of Odell Beckham Jr. Last week there's a video of him in bed with a woman with what appears to be a white powder on a table. That, for a team that was 3-13, that doesn't bode well. Yet maybe they want to just clean house, don't want to deal with him. They don't want to give him that giant contract, so they're going to ship him off. Here's the other side of this. He's going to want to get another big payday before his career is over, because you never know how long an NFL player's career is going to last. So he's going to have to straighten up, start over, in a new place, the West Coast, where, he's going to be under the spotlight, but he's playing for money. And I'll tell you what, Sean McVay, if he's a coach, maybe let's look back at the bad boys of the old days. Remember, the Detroit Pistons had a bunch of bad boys, guys that were kind of nutty off the court. But you had Chuck Daly was a great coach. You have guys like Greg Popovich who can control these kind of these knuckleheads that come in, it all could come down to whether or not Sean McVay can coach these kind of players. If he can't, then it could be, it would be an experiment that doesn't work, or it could be something that could work in favor of the Rams, their third year here back in Los Angeles, and maybe he can coach those guys and they could be a cohesive unit because they're all playing for the same thing. They want to win a championship.
I hope so. I know we're going to look back on this, and if the Rams are making it to the Super Bowl or whatnot, and we'll say, hey, that was a genius move to bring in all these All-Pros. You got a great young nucleus. You bring in some seasoned veterans who are All-Pros. What a great combination. Or if they take a nosedive or maybe even start trending down, maybe all this talent was too much of a good thing. So I don't know. I'm a character guy. Jeff, I know you're a character guy as well. So I always get a little apprehensive when they look at the talent before they look at the man, because all these guys are great, talented football players, but they also bring a little bit of baggage, and you got to be ready for that. And especially, again, I would not want to disrupt what the Rams already have in place. And now again, they could go 16-0 next year and be like, well, I guess they figured that out. They were good fits, and there was no problems, and the Rams got them all in line, and everyone's going in the same direction, and everything's great. So we'll just have to see how that plans out. I just don't know if there's too many bad attitudes on that team.
Well, maybe a positive locker room, because last year we didn't hear too many bad things about the Rams locker room. In fact, we heard nothing but good things. Maybe being surrounded by good guys, good coaches, good players, good management, good ownership. These guys are, one guy, Sue is playing at the tail end of his career, a one-year deal. He probably wants to go out playing well. He doesn't want to get suspended. And Odell Beckham is playing for a contract. You're going to have to pay him. But he's going to have to slow down. He's going to have to be a different guy off the field and just play football like he did in college.
We'll see how it pans out with OBJ. Meanwhile, another thing that we wanted to touch on.
I think that's my passion because I've done it. I know exactly where these athletes are at. I know what their mindset is right now. I know how hard it is to, number one, find a performance coach who can take you to the next level.
Johnny Manziel actually back up Tom Brady.
What sets us apart has to be, how we work with.
Well, I'll tell you what, you and I have talked. Is he one of the top 96 quarterbacks in the world right now at this time?
No, he's got to be.
Say yes.
Yeah, he's got to be.
And think about it. He was the most electrifying college quarterback of our time, possibly of all time. The guy can play football. If his mental state is level.
I played once upon a time at Centennial High School. I was actually in the first ever CIM championship team
saw in college,
back in 2000, and then my senior year we won it again.
He could be a fit. Look, think about what New England has done in the past. They've signed these guys. They've swung and missed a few times, but they've had Matt Castle. They've had Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie was a great backup. They even brought in Tim Tebow to try that. So I wouldn't put it past him to bring him in, because what happens if he does well? You have a great backup in case, Mo Brady's brother goes down. You have somebody in there that can be a dynamic playmaker.
He is a dynamic playmaker. He's definitely different than Tom Brady. Johnny Manziel is one of those mobile guys who can throw on the run and create. And Tom Brady, especially now that he's a little longer in the tooth, he's one of those drop back passers. I remember there was a couple plays in the Super Bowl he was trying to outrun some of the pass rush, and man, he looked like he was running a molasses. He looked slow mo. So when he has time to throw, Tom Brady's still the best, but if he's being flushed out of the pocket and he's on the run, he is not mobile, he is not quick, so he's kind of different compared to Johnny Manziel in that respect. The other thing I like that, if the New England Patriots are showing interest in Johnny Manziel, the other 31 teams in the NFL are probably thinking, well, what does New England know that we don't know? If the Patriots want Johnny Manziel, then you know what? We should probably want Johnny Manziel too. There must be something there, because New England, for whatever reason, they just can't seem to get it wrong. They always seem to get it right.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, like we said, if you get a healthy Johnny Manziel, somebody who's healthy in the head, on the field, he could be something special. Like you said, you never know how long Tom Brady runs like I do.
I played once upon a time at Centennial High School. I was actually in the first ever CIM championship team.
He's like 116 years old and he's still playing quarterback. But Johnny Manziel's, right now everything is going in his direction. It's somebody's going to take a chance on him, because we're talking about him. We've talked about him the last 3 days. Everybody's talking about Johnny Manziel. If you have a healthy Johnny Manziel, You have a healthy backup quarterback.
All right, well, later in the show, again, coming up at 4 o'clock in just about 21 minutes, we're going to have the head coach of Santiago's baseball team tied to Trinidad live from Florida. The Sharks are playing in the National High School Invitational. We've got that, Jeff. Later in the show, we also got to talk more Dodgers and Halos Freeway Series. There's some milestones coming up for both the Dodgers and the Halos. And, of course, Shohei Ohtani. The Angels have announced that Shohei Ohtani, not only, Jeff, is he staying in the big leagues, they've already mapped out when he's going to make his first major league start. So we've got the details on Shohei Ohtani as well, because the Angels know exactly when they want to throw him. More on the NFL, more on Sua Cravens, and also our new best friend, David Patrick, the new head basketball coach at UC Riverside, Jeff, got his first couple commits, so we're going to talk about it as well. We got a big show, and we're excited that David Patrick's going to join us in studio right after Easter once he gets settled in Riverside. So I'm glad you volunteered, Jeff, to help move him in and lift some of that furniture too. That was very kind of you.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Come on.
Oh no, that's you. That's all you.
See, you just put those things that go under the legs of like the table or the couch or whatnot, and you just slide them all around your living room. You just push them around. Everyone looks like the Hulk. Everyone feels strong because you're pushing these huge pieces of furniture around like no problem.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that at my house because I have perfect marble floors, and if you scratch them, I kick you out of my house.
No, that's why you use the little circles, Jeff. Next time you need furniture moved, don't call me, but I'll give you my things. I'll let you use my things. I'm not going to do it, but you can do it. I'll give you my little they're little circle things. You push them around. It's great.
Now, Rich Jeff just hires people. I don't do anything.
Of course, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right, we come back here on the Inland Sports Show. We'll talk more NFL and also Major League Baseball, and then tied to Trinidad right around the corner, coming up at 4 o'clock live from Florida. You're listening to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
Are you there?
We're small, family-owned, strive for quality pre-owned vehicles. We're not a volume dealer, and we take every deal as personal to us. We're a low-stress environment. We're not a pressure sales house. If you want to shop us, you're more than welcome to shop us. We have, like I said, great rates, competitive financing, a lot of one-owner, clean Carfax, clean title vehicles. As you see, we have Carfax everywhere. That's most important to us, to educate our customers before they make a purchase. We're right off of Ontario, right off a couple exits off the 15 freeway, off Cahelco, off El Cerrito, and we're right on the main drag going into Dos Logos and the crossings. We have great financing, we have great lenders that we're using. We do buy, sell, trade, cash for your car. Whatever we need to do to help accommodate the customer, that's what we're here for. We have a little bit of everything. We start at about $69.95 and go all the way up to $100,000. We have Escalades, we have commuters, we have pickup trucks, we have Jeeps, sport utilities, and if we don't have it, our specialty is finding you exactly what you're looking for.
Thank God, first of all. I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast. Thank God, first of all. I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
Okay.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. Jeff, let's hoop it up. And there's some local basketball news that developed that Jeff Oliver is no longer at Cal State San Bernardino. And you were telling me this is a guy that led the Coyotes deep into the postseason before.
Yeah, Jeff Oliver, you know, he was there 17 years.
Holy smokes.
17 years as the head men's basketball coach. He's part of Wade's yesterday. Was new head coach, but you know he took the Coyotes to the Final Four during his tenure, and they've won. They've been to the tournament 15 times. So the guy was a very, very good coach. The last couple years, though, they've kind of been haven't won as many games. So the school and Coach Oliver decided to part ways.
Yeah, you know what? Unfortunately, this is a business, especially college coaching. It's like, what have you done for me lately? Because when you look at the whole body of work, you would sit back and say, wow, he had a great run with Cal State San Bernardino. But in the last couple of years, like you're right, that's what they probably look at, that small sample size, and decided that it was time to make a move. But he's a great coach. In fact, his son's a big-time basketball player at Citrus Valley High School in Redlands, only a sophomore, and that guy can pile it up. In fact, I believe he led the Citrus Belt League in scoring this season. He or Jeremiah Martin right there at the top. But, man, yeah, he's a great player, and his dad a great coach at Cal State San Bernardino. So I wonder, he's going to get another job, but I wonder if it's going to be somewhere around here in the IE, because if not, Citrus Valley is going to lose a really great player as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but, there's so many jobs opening up. He was a very successful assistant coach for many years. And being a head coach for 16 years, he's going to land a good job somewhere shortly, I'm sure. And, hey, that's going to open up some spots. Maybe, there's a couple names here locally that could fill that spot. I don't know if they want to go to the Division II level, but you have guys like John Smith, and you have, Justin Bell, who's just down the street at UC Riverside. Those would be great spots for those guys because they know how to recruit, they know how to win, and that would not be a bad landing spot if they choose to go Division II.
No, you're right. Those are some great names, and Cal State San Bernardino isn't your typical Division II based on the history that they've had. And they've got a great arena out there. The Casulas Arena is awesome. It's a great facility out there, especially for a Division II program. Other basketball news, the Lakers, they're taking on the Dallas Mavericks tonight. The Dallas Mavericks are awful. That should be a win for the Lakers. And, Jeff, did you hear about this? So LeBron James, they asked him, who's the MVP this year? And, of course, in a real LeBron move, it was a real move that reminds me of Kobe Bryant. He's like, well, it's me. I'd vote for myself. I guess that's what you're supposed to say. But here's the quote, and then I'm going to ask you who you think the MVP is. This is what LeBron had to say. He said, quote, "I would vote for me. The body of work, how I'm doing it, what's been happening with our team all year long, how we've gotten so many injuries and things of that nature. Guys in and out, to be able to still keep things afloat, I would definitely vote for me." Now, I get it. You look at his supporting cast in Cleveland, and they're not very good. But I don't think he's the MVP this year, although if you said LeBron was the MVP, I wouldn't argue with you. But I think this year specifically, he's not.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you. Yes, and I'll tell you what. I'm not a huge LeBron fan by any means, other than the fact that I hope he is a Laker next year. But here's the deal why I think he is the MVP. The guy has not missed any games this season. Any. He has 16 triple-doubles. He's playing the best basketball of his career right now with a very inferior team. He doesn't have a coach right now. And the reason he says this, the bravado, the arrogance, you compare it to Kobe Bean Bryant. I think who he is talking to is he's talking to his legacy. There was a guy named Michael Jordan.
I've heard of him.
Didn't win that many MVP awards. He was the best. He was the defensive player of the year. He was all defense virtually every year in the league. He's talking to Michael Jordan. He's talking to his legacy. He's saying, hey, I might not get those 6 rings, but I am going to get MVP awards. And he's talking more than legacy. I think he's talking directly to Michael Jordan because LeBron James is a competitor, a lot like Kobe Bryant, a lot like Michael Jordan. He wants to be the best, and he's got a kind of a killer instinct. He's got it more in his later years, but that is what he's talking to, is what I would say. He's talking to Michael Jordan.
Well, I think James will win the MVP. James Harden, not LeBron James. I think James Harden is the MVP. And I think the best team with the best player usually wins. And you're right.
Thank God, first of all. I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms.
The reason I don't give it to James Harden, he's missed 10 games. He sat out yesterday because he was tired. You can't do that.
That's a big beard. It's tiring.
You're carrying that thing around. But Russell Westbrook last year didn't take any time off. The guy played his butt off. I know it was all about triple-doubles last year, but I'll tell you what, Oklahoma City might even be out of the first round. And I agree, James Harden is a great offensive threat, possibly the best
thank God, first of all.
10 years
I
since Kobe
think
was in
the
his
great
prime,
people that I've
but
got
he is
around me
not
that
the MVP.
All right, we come back here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. We are taking you live to the state of Florida for the National High School Invitational. Santiago, the baseball team in action, trying to win a national title. Got off to a rocky start. It was a nail-biter out there. We're going to have a live interview with the head coach of the Sharks, tied to Trinidad, when we come back on the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM.
Carla, come here. I have 5 minutes. Come here.
How you guys doing? I'm Coach Ray again. We're here at the Boost Performance Center with the one and only Pep Fernandez. So today's tip, I'm going to go over the shuttle run. So really, the shuttle run is a great drill to measure lateral speed, power, and change of direction. So we're going to go over that today, and it's a drill that can benefit really, again, any type of field sport, whether you're a basketball player, football, volleyball, soccer. If you got to change directions, you got to be quick. Shuttle runs for you. Okay, so Jacob's going to demonstrate the shuttle run here. We're going to start off with the stance. So he's going to have his feet about hip width. Now, this is really important because a lot of times you get guys who will try to shift their stance. You got to split the line evenly, and you want to make sure your toes are forward. You want to make sure your feet are right underneath your hips, all right? So he's going to have his feet forward and underneath their hips. All right, now, when I say set, he's going to drop down very quickly. Whatever hand is down is the direction that you have to go. So he's going to go to his left first, so he's got to have his left hand down. Now, his right hand is going to be right here, all right? It's going to be right in front of his body. His elbow's going to be flexed, hand's going to be right under his chin, all right? So when I say he's going to drop down really fast, all right, he's going to put his hand down, left hand down on top of the line, right hand underneath his chin. Ready? Set. All right, relax. All right, so that's the stance there. We don't want to hold the stance any longer than about 3 seconds, all right? So we want to be in and out, all right? Now, let's talk about the first touch. Once he leaves, all right, his first movement, that timer is going to start. He's going to give me a nice lateral run coming out. So he's not going to turn his head and turn his body to run. He's going to lateral run coming out, and then we make our first touch. He's going to do what's called a wedge cut. It's a double foot cut, and he's going to touch right outside of his feet here. So he's going to touch the line with his left hands. He's going to do a wedge cut, a double foot cut. He's going to have a nice angle at the shins. He's going to touch right outside of the foot. So now I'm heading back in the direction I want to go. All right, that angle is really important. So we're going to nice wedge cut here, left hand touch. We'll wedge cut it here with the right, and then we'll sprint through for the finish. 5, 10, 5. Here we go. You ready, Jacob? So he's going to go on me. Set. Go. Get back. Finish right in the middle. Good, right there. Now, typically, you want to finish with your head down. All right, you want to maintain that forward lean. There you have it. Shuttle run.
And welcome back to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM. We're proudly brought to you by our good friends at Spoiled. Quick, quality oil change. You'll be spoiled by great customer service and low prices. We thank Spoiled so much. Ken Sporting Goods, more than 40 years in the Inland Empire, bringing you all of your sporting gear needs and Letterman's jackets, and they'll even bling them out. Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. He's the very best, from lacrosse to golf to the NFL and everything in between. Youth, high school, varsity, he'll train them up. And he'll train them to be the biggest and the strongest and the fastest guys and gals on their team. And Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road, where you can buy, you can trade, and you can finance all in the same spot. Make that car shopping experience so easy at Catalano Motors off of Temescal Canyon Road in Corona. Well, we appreciate you joining us here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM. I'm Pep Fernandez. I'm deep in Orange County. Jeff Gorham back in the Inland Empire. Greg Holla back in the studio. And coming up in just a matter of minutes, we're going to hear from Santiago baseball coach Ty de Trinidad as the Sharks are coming off their first game at the National High School Invitational. And if you're not familiar with the National High School Invitational, it's a national tournament, and it's kind of like the unofficial national championship for high school baseball, and Santiago was the first team to be invited to this, first team from the Inland Empire to be invited to this tournament featuring probably the most prestigious teams in the country. I can think of several other Inland Empire high school teams that could be should be invited to this. In fact, you don't have to look very far. You could go right there in the Big 8 League. Of course, you got some great teams, Corona, King High School, down there in the Southwestern League, Great Oak, Vista Murrieta, Murrieta Mesa, Murrieta Valley, I mean, all the Temecula Valley. There's some really good baseball in the Inland Empire, and I'm kind of surprised that it took this long for a team from the IE to be invited to this tournament. But Santiago got the first nod for the Inland Empire, so they're carrying that IE flag for us out there in Florida. And they played the #1 team in the entire nation right off the bat today, and it was a tough one for the Sharks. And we're going to have Ty de Trinidad joining us in just a little bit, but yeah, it was a tough one. They opened up with the #1 team in the nation. They are called American Heritage from the state of Florida, and it was a 1-zip victory for American Heritage. So Santiago will still be in the tournament, but they got to play some other teams now and fight their way back. I think they can finish as high as 5th place. We'll have to ask Ty de Trinidad about that one, but I think they can finish as high as 5th still at this national high school tournament, and they lost 1-zip again to American Heritage, the #1 team in the country. Cruz Barrios, the starter for the Sharks today, threw a 2-hitter. So if you only give up 1 run and 2 hits against the #1 team in the country, you would probably think, man, this game is going to go our way. What a great outing. But it was Santiago coming up on the losing end of that one. Jeff Gorham's going to join me in just a second, and we're going to talk more about the high school baseball. In fact, there's Jeff right now as we're waiting for Santiago head coach Ty de Trinidad to join us live from Florida. This American Heritage team has scored 120 runs on the season. So this is a team that's got a lot of offensive output. They simply could not hit Cruz Barrios, and that's great because he's a great hurler for Santiago. But that 1 run was enough, and that's what put them over the top. So join us right now on the line is the head coach of the Sharks, the great Ty de Trinidad, live on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM. Coach, how are you doing today?
We're doing well. You know, better. I mean, we could be doing better, but you know what? It was a good day for the Sharks. Decent.
You know what? You go up against the #1 team, American Heritage, and if I would have told you would hold them to just 1 run and a 2-hitter, you'd probably think, man, Santiago got a win in that one. But it was one of those tough luck losses for the Sharks today.
Yeah, it was tough to see. I mean, the boys just came out and played well. Since they've gotten here, they just really acclimated to everything and had a good workout yesterday. And Cruz Barrios came out and threw a fantastic game, had a no-hitter going into the fifth. And on a 1-2 count, guy got a jam shot for a hit, and then he got himself out of that. He ran out of pitch count going into the seventh inning. And so we had our chance in the seventh. It was a first and third situation and came up a little short. But, when you play the number one team in the country, you can't have miscues. But, again, the boys fought hard and did a fantastic job, and I'm proud of them.
So this is a tournament, so you guys are still alive, right? You play another game tomorrow against, I believe it's Hanover, right, from New Jersey. Does that sound right?
Yeah, so we have 3 more games to play. We're guaranteed the 4, and let's make some noise while we're here and go from there. And I know a lot of teams, a lot of scouts and people came up to us after because, again, if you look at the run production that American Heritage had, I think they were averaging 13 runs a game. The hits were out of control, and so I mean, they definitely were nervous. I had a chance to talk to the coaches and some of the players.
What did you say to Cruz Barrios after the game? Because, I mean, man, what an outing on the mound. I mean, he was fantastic against a team that, like you said, the run production is crazy, and this is like the number one team in the country, and he basically shut them down.
Yeah, he came up to the dugout, and he looked over because, he had a walk in the seventh. He came to me and just gave me the look like, I apologize, and I said, thank you. That's the first thing I said to him was, thank you for competing. And he gave me a hug, and we sat down and said, hey, let's try to win this thing. And it came up short, but the young man pitched well. And even in the press conference after, he just, he kept saying he wanted to represent, Riverside, the Inland Empire, and, of course, Santiago's community well. And, the young man pitched his behind off, and then we got nothing to be ashamed about.
We're talking with Ty de Trinidad, the head coach of Santiago, here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. Coach, we've talked about this before on the show, the fact that you guys finally got the invite to go to the National High School Invitational. It felt like it was a matter of time before one of these great programs from the Inland Empire got the invite to go there. Do you feel like you're kind of carrying the flag for the entire Inland Empire? Because we know there's great baseball here, and finally a team, the Sharks, representing the IE at this tournament.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I think even for myself, I had to check myself and realize, yes, we are carrying the flag. But we also can only do so much in terms of, doing that. But again, we understand that. And in looking at it, I think there's other teams definitely in our area that could make a run out there. And hopefully this opens the doors. I know the USA committee came up to us after the game and said that was probably one of the best games to watch of the day. I know there's a lot of talk. There was tons of scouts watching our game. And it was nice to hear that. I mean, again, we came up short, and by any means, we're not happy with a loss because we came here wanting to win this thing. But at the end of the day, we also realized what we were going against. And I'll tell you what, we're an out or a bunt, a play away from winning this thing. And we're right there. So we want to come out tomorrow and take care of business. I mean, that's our goal. Let's try to go 3-1.
We're talking with Ty de Trinidad here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. So, Coach, talk about this tournament. You guys are at I think it's the USA Baseball headquarters, right, in Cary, North Carolina?
Yes, it's beautiful. Yeah, they're at the USA Center. Go ahead.
So we got a couple teams from Southern California. Of course, there's going to be a bunch from the nearby state of Florida. You opened up with American Heritage, a team from Florida. So, what's it like going out there? And what's some of the things you've done away from the game? Because I believe you guys visited Duke University and did some fun things.
Yes, we did. When we got here, I mean, we had dinner for the boys, and the boys walked into their hotel rooms, and they definitely, they had USA bags from them. They're treated like royalty here. So then the next day we had our workout. Everything's on a time schedule. We're bused to and from. And then we had a chance to go to Duke University, which was amazing. We had our own personal tour, and at the time we went to the basketball arena, and it was shut down. Well, I happened to linger around and see a gentleman walking through, and was able to kind of talk our way in there. So he led us on the court for about 5 minutes, and that was, the boys went nuts. Of course, we didn't want anybody rolling an ankle trying to dunk on him, but it's an amazing facility. Duke is an amazing university. I mean, the people here have been great. And so after that, in fact, as we speak, I took the boys out for ice cream.
There you go, right? Ice cream makes everything better.
That's what it was. I didn't want the boys to linger in it. I mean, I definitely, I get it. They were upset and a little disappointed, but at the end of the day, hey, we're here. We're going to have a little fun and keep it in perspective. Our goal is to get back and obviously do well in league so we can continue to play good baseball.
What's it like with Major League Baseball scouts there? You kind of touched on it. I assume there's probably radar guns and guys writing things down all over the place at that tournament.
Yes, at our own workout session, they were just watching, and they were a good 20 there at our game. From everyone we spoke to, there was more people watching our game, because again, you got the number one team in the country playing with 11 Division I guys, and the game got exciting. But it's amazing to hear them and chat with them afterwards. It's an experience that I think everyone needs to have if they can do it. I mean, it's something that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. We had one young man who's never even been on an airplane, and he got to experience that for the first time with his team. So
did he like it? Did he like it, or did he freak out?
He was a little nervous. He freaked out a little bit. He wants to switch. The guy next to him wants to switch partners on the way back, but he was nervous. But it all worked out. But no, getting back to your question, yeah, the experience is amazing. I mean, the facilities here are unbelievable. Every field is in mint shape. They all have lights. They all have space, baseballs, everything you need. And the boys were fed lunch today. And today was the when they introduced the teams. Our names are on the concrete painted on Santiago High School, Mater Dei. It's a great forum, something that these guys will cherish forever. And again, I hope we make enough noise where they start looking towards our way for more teams.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it even took this long based on all the great teams that we have in the Big 8 League and the Southwestern League down in the Temecula-Murrieta area. Redlands East Valley's had some strong teams as well. I'm surprised it's taken this long, but I think based on how you guys are doing, already a strong showing despite the loss, I think you're building respect and credibility for the Inland Empire while you're out there.
Absolutely, and that's what I told our boys. At the end of the day, we got to do what's best for us and continue to get better. And yeah, we wanted to win this thing and show well, and that hopefully it does open doors for other teams, because there are other teams in our area which we know are quality and can do well, and that's what we want. I mean, I've always, like I said, I started in the county of Riverside and been an Inland Empire guy, and I love to see our guys move on no matter what school.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate the time calling in from the tournament in North Carolina. Almost beat that team from Florida, but you got another big one tomorrow against Hanover from New Jersey, so best of luck against them, and bring home a couple wins for us.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving us that time, and then we're gonna get out and get after it tomorrow, so we'll get out. We'll get after it.
All right. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. And enjoy the ice cream.
Oh, we will. The boys are already smiling. Now they're telling me to get back to the car. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it.
Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
That's Sharks head coach Ty de Trinidad joined us here live on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. Jeff, you just heard that whole conversation. Man, Ty de Trinidad, he's one of our favorites. And what a tough loss when you go out there to the tournament. You're taking on the number one team in the country from out of Florida. And if I told you it was going to be, you're going to hold this team to one run, which they're averaging like 13 runs a game, you hold them to one run and your pitcher throws a two-hitter, you would think, oh, that's a surefire, no doubt win. And that was just a tough loss for Santiago. But now they got to bounce back. They got another big one tomorrow.
Well, I'll tell you what, just for those young men to experience that kind of atmosphere, you just think of the teams that are there. They're hanging out at Tobacco Road in North Carolina. They get to go to Cameron Indoor Stadium. This is a great experience for these guys. And I'll tell you what, playing the best teams in the country is only going to make them better when they come back and they're playing in that tough league and division. Modern days, they're playing with these big programs. Santiago is right there on the cusp of being the best team in the country, and they showed it today.
Yeah, pretty exciting. Again, carrying that flag for the entire Inland Empire. And I'm surprised it's taken this long because we've had so many great teams in the Inland Empire in the last several years, between the Riverside schools, the Corona schools, the Murrieta Temecula's, the Redlands. I mean, there's pockets around the IE where they're really good at high school baseball. So I'm surprised it's taken this long, but so far it's, despite the loss, a good start for the Sharks. And again, I think they're building credibility. I think they're earning respect out there in Cary, North Carolina, the headquarters for USA Baseball, where this tournament's taking place. But again, tough loss against the team from Florida today. A team from New Jersey will be the next opponent for Santiago. And hopefully the Sharks will come back to the IE with some big wins under their belt as they enjoy some ice cream after a tough loss today against American Heritage. When we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, details on Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is scheduled to make his first start in the big leagues for the Angels. We've got those breaking details when we come back. It's the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
Thank God, first of all. I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
We're a small family-owned, strive for quality pre-owned vehicles. We're not a volume dealer, and we take every deal as personal to us. We're a low-stress environment. We're not a pressure sales house. If you want to shop us, you're more than welcome to shop us. We have, like I said, great rates, competitive financing, a lot of one-owner, clean Carfax, clean title vehicles. As you see, we have Carfax everywhere. That's most important to us, to educate our customers before they make a purchase. We're right off of Ontario, right off a couple exits off the 15 freeway, off Cajalco, off El Cerrito, and we're right on the main drag going into Dos Logos and the Crossings. We have great financing, we have great lenders that we're using. We do buy, sell, trade, cash for your car. Whatever we need to do to help accommodate the customer, that's what we're here for. We have a little bit of everything. We start at about $69.95 and go all the way up to $100,000. We have Escalades, we have commuters, we have pickup trucks, we have Jeeps, sport utilities, and if we don't have it, our specialty is finding you exactly what you're looking for.
And welcome back to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. Going strong here on a Wednesday. And Jeff, all the hype around Shohei Ohtani, and now we finally know when we're going to see Shohei Ohtani for the very first time. I'm just excited to see him in a real game, not a spring training game, but a real game. I know you're an Angel fan. I think you feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I am excited for it because, you know, he was the greatest thing in the world next to, you know, if you talk about guys that have come out of Japan, you talk about Ichiro and now you're talking Ohtani. Those are the two biggest names to ever come out of the Japanese leagues. And, you know, I'm excited to see it. And the spring training was a small sample size, really, to see how good a player he is. Now it's going to come down to, hey, it's the real deal. Now it's time to show or go home.
All right, so Shohei Ohtani, again, he's going to play not only in the field, well, he's going to DH to be exact. He's gonna be hitting in the lineup for the Halos, but he's also going to be on the mound. He's going to pitch, and we haven't seen a guy do that in a long time. I know he's been compared to Babe Ruth, but let's all slow our roll. That's the only similarity those two guys have, is that they both pitch and hit real well. But Babe Ruth was able to do that for a long Hall of Fame career. In fact, I compare Babe Ruth to like Paul Bunyan. You know what I mean? It's almost like folklore. Like he's bigger than just, he's not even like a man. He's like a character. He's like this larger than life figure. And Shohei Ohtani's just 23 years old. He hasn't done anything yet, but he's a great hitter and a great pitcher. And I think that's where the similarity kind of starts and ends, because again, he hasn't done anything yet. I'm not trying to shoot the guy down, but Babe Ruth, we're talking about one of the greatest players of all time. And I think it's kind of unfair for Shohei Ohtani to even have that comparison at this point, because that is the only similarity, is that they both hit and pitch.
Yeah, that is the only similarity. You know, and people are really knocking him. They're saying, hey, he had a horrible spring training. You know, he didn't bat well. He didn't pitch well. But we really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know if he was just, when he was on the mound, if he was working on certain things, you know, because pitchers are, you know, they're working on getting into the regular season form. Maybe they're just kind of trying to guide him the easiest way to get into major league batting and hitting by just, you know, working on certain things, certain aspects of his pitching motion, the way he pitches. We're going to actually see it, but I don't think the sample size was so small. I don't think it's really going to affect the player we're going to see down the line.
Yeah, because Mike Scioscia has said a couple times, they asked him, oh, you know, Shohei looked pretty rough out there on the mound today. He didn't look too good. And Mike Scioscia, the manager for the Halos, would come back and say, well, on the contrary, he did all the things that we needed him to do. Sure, he gave up a couple runs, and maybe his control was a little questionable. He was throwing the ball all over the place. But the things that we asked him to go out there and work on, he did well. So it might not show up in the box score. It might look like he got roughed up. But in all reality, what the Angels wanted to see, they saw. And that was the proof in the pudding for them to put him in the major leagues, to start him at the big league level, because there was that conversation of, well, maybe he should start in the minor leagues. Maybe he's not ready for the big league level. No, he showed the Halo staff and Mike Scioscia exactly what they wanted to see, to give him that reassurance that, yeah, he is a major league guy. He is a young guy, and he's probably still going to grow and get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, like you said, he's 23 years old. He's coming into a new culture, a new atmosphere, new baseball, new rules. The guys, it's going to be a learning curve. But the only way you're going to get better is you put him against the best players in the world, and he will adjust. It's just going to take some time. Everybody wants the quick fix, you know, the immediate response. It's going to take some time for this young man, who we've heard from Trent Rush say he hits the ball farther than anybody he's ever seen. He's got a great swing. It's just going to take a while for him to get it all together. They're asking a lot of this young man. Who else is doing this in the major leagues? Nobody.
The old Babe. Remember, what was it, The Sandlot? Remember they had the signed autograph ball from, wasn't it Babe Ruth? And then they go.
It was.
What was the big dog's name? Was it Hercules?
The Beast.
The Beast. Oh my
Beast.
goodness, yeah, the Beast. Yeah, I love that movie. But yeah, like Babe Ruth in my book is more like a Paul Bunyan. Like sometimes I forget. Oh yeah, he was a real like living man. Like he smoked cigars and ate hot dogs all the time. Like he was a real guy. But when we talk about Babe Ruth, it's almost, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like Paul Bunyan. It's like folklore. It's like this fairy tale almost. Like this guy never existed, but he did. He was a real guy.
Yeah, and what's funny is, I'm a baseball fan. How come we haven't seen more of these two-way players over the history? Because these guys grow up, in high school and college, and they hit the ball. If pitchers hit the ball, if they can hit, they play. But it seems so specialized now that if you're a pitcher, you only pitch, and if you can hit, you only hit. Maybe we're going to see something change here if he can be successful doing this, like you said, like the Babe Ruth. But if he's successful, will we see more guys that can pitch and hit trying to do the same thing Ohtani is doing?
Well, that's the thing, because remember we asked Troy Percival, the head coach of the UC Riverside baseball team, and Angel's great. We see this at the high school level, and Coach Percival even said even at UCR he's got guys like that, guys who can pitch and hit. So when, maybe you've got a great player and he can also pitch, so you bring him in as the closer to save games. I mean, you see it at the college level, and then you get to the majors, you go pro, and we don't see it nearly as often. In fact, we hardly see it at all. But it is happening. But it is happening in high school. It is happening in college.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we talked about, Connor Cannon. He hit a home run yesterday. He comes in and closes games. He's a middle relief guy. He's one of those kind of guys you look at and go, wow, he's 6'4", 6'5", can throw heat and can hit, swing lumber like none other. Maybe, if Ohtani is successful, we might see more guys doing this and more teams taking chances on guys that can hit and pitch.
I think it's more of, the injury or the toll on the body. Like, hey, we're paying you a ton of money to pitch. We don't want you up there, swinging a baseball bat. What if you pull a rib? What if you roll your ankle? What if you take a ball off your hand and, and break a bone in your hand? I think it's them trying to protect their investment, the Major League Baseball teams, as opposed to just not having the talent, because again, it's not like these guys in high school and college just forget how to hit or pitch once they get, to the pros. I think it's more – again, it all boils down to money, right? I don't care what you're talking about. It all comes down to dollar bills. And I think it's more about the investment on some of these guys as opposed to just not having the ability, the talent to do it. So, Jeff, here's what we know about Shohei Ohtani. So – there were talks again that maybe they should start him in the minors. No, he's going to be in the big leagues. In fact, now we know that he is going to pitch in a major league game, make his first major league start coming up on Sunday. That will be his Halos debut on the Hill up in Oakland. So he's going to take on the A's, his very first game on the road. That's this Sunday, Shohei Ohtani. But Mike Scioscia has also came out and said that there's a good chance you might see Ohtani in the Angels lineup before his first start on Sunday, most likely as the designated hitter. So we might even see Ohtani before Sunday, but for sure by Sunday, because that will be his first start in an Angels uniform in a real live big league game.
Well, I'm excited to see it. I'm sure the fans are excited to see it, and I'm sure Ohtani's really kind of excited to get in there and give it his best. I mean, he did amazing work in Japan. He was the most beloved figure in all of Japanese sports. It'd be nice to see it transcend, being an Angel fan that I am, to see it transcend and be very successful.
And that's the thing. I've compared this before to some of these guys we see on rehab assignments, that they don't look necessarily sharp in these rehab assignments. I think that kind of can go as well when you talk about spring training, that maybe guys don't look as sharp as you're hoping they would, but then they get into regular big league games, like regular season Major League Baseball games, and they're great. They're fine. There's nothing to worry about. I mean, I've seen Clayton Kershaw, rehabbing in Single A, Rancho Cucamonga, and he gets not roughed up, but maybe gives up a run, gives up a couple hits, and you're like, oh man, if he's doing this at the at a minor league level and, on a rehab assignment, this doesn't look good. What if he gets back and just gets roughed up when he gets back to the Dodgers? And it never happens. He's just fine. I think to a certain degree that might be the case for Shohei Ohtani because, like we were talking about in spring training games, he's working on certain things. You're going to look at the box score and be like, oh, he gave up a couple runs or he was wild. He walked a lot of batters. Are those areas they're going to try to clean up? Yeah, probably. But at the same time, he went out there and did with the pitching coach and Mike Scioscia and the rest of the staff, he did what they wanted to see, and he did it well enough that they have confidence to put him in the starting rotation. So I don't use spring training as a gauge. I don't use rehab assignments as a gauge because both times coaches are looking for all those little things. They're looking to see them do things well and not so much in the box score like, well, he went 4 innings and didn't walk anybody, which would be great, but that's not exactly the telling sign if a guy is ready to be back in the big leagues or in the big leagues for the very first time in Shohei Ohtani's case. So I don't know. I don't use spring training as a barometer. I think Shohei Ohtani is going to be just fine. I guess we'll find out quite a bit on Sunday when he pitches against the A's.
Well, I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun ride, and like you said, we saw Mike Trout, go basically 0 for when he was down here on the minor league assignment, and then he goes up the next week and he was like 8 for 12 starting out on his comeback.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely it's not a barometer to see how well he's going to do in the regular season, the preseason, the spring league. It's really just to work on your fundamentals and kind of get in a groove ready to play.
Yeah, I remember that about Mike Trout when he was rehabbing with the IE 66ers, and he did not look good. And, but there was probably certain things that he was, trying to do, of course, every time you step to the plate, you're trying to get a hit, but there was probably some other little things that he was trying to, whether it was, how well can you grip the bat? Can you swing through the whole, the whole full range of motion? Can you put, weight on your back foot? There's all these little things that they want you to do as opposed to necessarily what's showing up in the box score. So Mike Trout did not look good with the IE 66ers last summer when we saw him. In fact, I think it was right around the 4th of July, wasn't it? Right around 4th of July weekend?
It was, and the thing is, I remember listening to Mike Trout after the game we saw, and he was told, he goes, "Hey, I was going to swing on every first pitch. I was going to work on this. I was going to work on that." So really, and he didn't take it too seriously. You could tell that he was working on just certain facets of his game, just to kind of get back in the groove, just to see if his injury was there. He looked good. He just didn't hit well, and I think everybody in the stadium thought every time he was going to step up versus minor league pitching, he was going to hit a home run every single time.
Yes, exactly.
And he would hit the ball and he would jog to first base. He didn't even sprint. So he was just there to work on his game, his fundamentals to get back into the major league system.
Yeah, I think we kind of get lost in some of those expectations, and it's like, oh, it's Mike Trout. Every time he swings that bat, he's going to hit a 500-foot home run, and that's simply just not the case. And we saw he was just fine. He went back to the Angels, and he was absolutely just fine. He tore it up. He was the same Mike Trout. Now Shohei Ohtani is a little bit different because we haven't seen him perform at the major league level. But again, I'm not going to rush to judgment simply on how he looked in a couple spring training games for the Halos.
No, and I think that Scioscia and his staff really have done it correctly. They're not putting him out there opening day, for gosh sakes. They're going to put him in the rotation. He's going to be 4th right now. He got Garrett Richards, Tyler Skaggs, and Shoemaker are really quality pitchers. If they get, they're playing Oakland, they should get they should win 3 or 4 or whatever. They should. So if that loss is Ohtani and you have the 3 guys in front of you that are doing well, you can kind of hide him within your lineup, if that makes sense.
No, you can, and you're right. That's a pretty good rotation right there. I'm looking at it right now as well. So he'd be like the 4th guy in the rotation when the Halos roll out in this season opening series against the Oakland A's up there on the road. So, Yeah, you know what? Maybe the Halos can get a couple wins, get a couple games to get the bats going, to give him some run support come Sunday, and he can make his first start on the road up in Oakland before he comes back to the Big A and make his home debut. Not that Angel fans are going to boo him out of the place, but it'd be kind of nice to go on the road and kind of work through your first ever Major League Baseball start and then come back home and be even more polished to make your Big A debut.
Yeah, and there's no playbook on the young man. So he could come, what's good is, you're going to get 3 games under your belt watching Major League pitching, as a fan, Ohtani will be able to watch and see what the Major League games are actually like. There's no playbook on him, so he might be successful early. It might gain, he might gain some confidence, and that might help propel him because we know he can swing the bat. He hasn't shown it yet, but we've seen it. Everybody knows he can hit the ball. But I think the biggest question is they're putting all their eggs in his pitching, and hopefully he can gain, like I said, some strength. He can gain some confidence and maybe get a couple wins early to kind of propel that confidence that he needs to be successful in the Major League Baseball.
And Jeff, here's why people were kind of freaking out, because he only made 2 starts at spring training in the Cactus League for the Halos. His ERA was 27, super high. He allowed 9 hits. He allowed 9 runs in not even 3 innings of work. So on the mound, you look at that small sample size, you're like, good Lord, this guy's going to struggle. And then at the plate, he was only 4 for 32, and he struck out 10 times. So I think people are looking at those numbers, and again, that's a real small sample size, and they were starting to freak out, like, okay, this guy's all hype. They had that big, huge press conference to introduce him at the stadium, and then he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated with Mike Trout. I mean, they've already crowned him as the next big thing, and again, I think that was unfair to him. He didn't ask for all this stuff to come to him. But he is a star player, and it kind of comes with the party. It's part of the gig now that you play in Los Angeles, Anaheim to be technical, but play for the LA Angels. It's part of the gig. You're in a major market. You're playing alongside Mike Trout, and this is a team that has postseason aspirations. But people look at those numbers, Jeff, and they freak out a little bit.
Yeah, everybody say numbers don't lie. But I'll tell you what, I did get a chance to watch him bat. We talked about the Japanese game and the American game. They threw inside on him virtually every time he was up at the plate. He's got to get used to that inside pitching, and he'll get used to it. Everybody's throwing, they're throwing smoke out here in America. He's got to get used to guys throwing 100 miles an hour on a daily basis. But as a good hitter and as a good, just a good baseball player, he will find the time and he'll figure it out. And I think Angel fans will be happy. They'll be happy with Ohtani. Things will be okay in Angel Land.
All right, when we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, we will talk more about the Halos and the Dodgers because opening day across Major League Baseball is tomorrow. So we'll take a look at some of those the early series matchups here for the Dodgers that are going to take on the Giants. As we mentioned, the Halos will take on the A's. And there are some milestones that the Dodgers and the Halos can both hit this upcoming season. Both these teams, of course, the Dodgers look primed to make another World Series run. The Halos look like they're ready to make another charge for the postseason. So these are 2 really good clubs, and they could hit some big milestones coming up this season. We're going to talk about that when we come back. It's the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM. All right, are you there?
Yeah, how's that?
That was good. We're
bullshitting my way.
Focus on the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. just greet them, get them going, and they're done in about 10 minutes or so. We don't push any sales on them. We do the oil change, and I think that's what sets us apart is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. You come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
I played once upon a time at Centennial High School. I was actually on the first ever CIF championship team back in 2000, and then my senior year we won it again. I'd say that's my passion because I've done it. You know, I know exactly where these athletes are at. I know what their mindset is right now. I know how hard it is to, number one, find a performance coach who can take you to the next level. What sets us apart has to be, you know, how we work with our athletes and what we know. We can take an athlete and you know, help them reach their athletic potential, you know, help them, you know, prevent injuries, help get them stronger. I know every single athlete who steps into this gym. I know exactly where they're at, and I'm going to progress them every week. If you're not getting results, then, you know, really what's it about? We're going to deliver something that's measurable, you know, in terms of speed, power, you know, strength, agility.
And welcome back to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 13:50 a.m. And, Jeff, we were just talking about Shohei Ohtani and the Halos, and they're getting set to open up their season tomorrow against the Oakland A's up there in the Bay Area. The Dodgers will be home for the Giants. And I'm assuming, though, that they're going to have all that sewage cleaned up at Chavez Ravine because nobody wants a big stinky opener. They want a nice, clean Dodger Stadium so they can enjoy the game. But that's a mess. I mean, somebody's cleaning that up. Somebody's at Dodger Stadium right now cleaning up the sewage, Jeff.
Well, it's like going to a Raiders game. It's like going to an old Raiders game at the L.A. Coliseum. I think every single game I ever went to, it smelled just like that.
Just like a big sewage drainage pipe, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Jeff. Well, anyways, the Dodgers are trying to clean that up so they can invite the Giants into town tomorrow. And the Dodgers are trying to make it a return trip to the World Series, of course. They were one game away from hoisting the championship, but the Houston Astros got that one. That's okay. The Dodgers are back. All the key players are back as well. Dave Roberts is back, and they're trying to make a little bit of history as well because here's the deal, Jeff. Since they have created all these divisions in Major League Baseball, just 6 teams have won 5 or more consecutive division titles, so 5 division titles in a row. Last season, the Dodgers joined that group, so they've won 5 National League West championships in a row. That's awesome. If they can do it 6 in a row, they would join only 2 other teams that have ever done this. That would be the 95 to 2005 Braves, which you can do the math there. That's a decade. And also the 1998 to 2006 Yankees. So both teams have won at least 6 straight division championships. Those were both great teams. I remember growing up in the 90s, nobody was better than the Atlanta Braves. That was like the New England Patriots of the day. Like everyone knew Atlanta was going to win the National League East at the time. And the Yankees, of course, they had that great run too. So the Dodgers looking to win their 6th straight NL West crown, and only 2 other teams have won 6 in a row like that.
Yeah, and it would be nice to see, they've had such a great run. It would be nice to see them at least get one World Series championship out of this run because you never know how long this run will carry you because it could be gone tomorrow with free agency. The Dodgers, though, have done it correctly. They've brought guys up through the minor leagues. They've brought pitchers in that have filled in when guys have been hurt. And I'll tell you what, they bought into the system that I think Dave Roberts really has been a spark plug. Don Mattingly started it, but he could only take him so far. But they seem to be in a groove, and they seem to be very, very focused. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing they did last year, but maybe change it up here in the postseason.
Yeah, we definitely don't want them to turn out to be the Buffalo Bills of Major League Baseball, right? Go get to the World Series or win all these division titles and really have no hardware to show for it. I'm not saying that's the case because I think LA and I think Houston, they're both young and really good. I think they're going to have some battles for years and years to come. And last year looked like it was going to be the Dodgers' year. I mean, I thought the Dodgers were going to win it, especially being at home. And I know it went to a Game 7. I thought the Dodgers were going to pull it out. But I would not be surprised to see the Dodgers and the Astros back in the World Series again this year. But I think they've got enough talent, and they're young enough that they're going to be around for a long, long time. Hopefully it does pan out that way. As for the Halos, now this is a team, they're going to open up on the road in Oakland. This is a team that on paper looks really strong. The addition of Shohei Ohtani, the starting pitching staff looks like it's going to be good enough with Garrett Richards as the ace. The lineup is great. They shored up their infield with Ian Kinsler and Zach Kozar. This looks like a really good team. Here's a couple milestones that we need to keep an eye on for the Halos this year. That Albert Pujols, already a Hall of Famer, he only needs 32 hits to reach 3,000 for his career. 3,000 is kind of that benchmark, that milestone that puts you in the Hall of Fame. Like if you get 3,000 hits, it's a no-brainer. He also needs 82 RBI to reach 2,000 in his career. And remember last year, Jeff, he already he passed the 600 home run plateau last year, so he's already joined that club. And there's only a couple other guys that have done this. Hank Aaron and Alex Rodriguez are the only two guys to have 600 home runs, 3,000 hits, and 2,000 RBI. So when you talk about A-Rod and Hank Aaron, and it looks like Albert Pujols is just a couple RBI and a couple hits away from joining that club. I mean, I think we kind of take him for granted. I know he was in St. Louis for a while, so we didn't hear as much here on the West Coast, but now he's here with the Halos. I mean, I don't want to take him for granted because he really is statistically one of the greatest players, one of the greatest hitters. He's a Gold Glover at first, too, one of the greatest players of all time.
You know, he really is, and he's really kind of embraced everywhere he's gone. You know, St. Louis loved him. He bought into the community. And here in Anaheim, he has been just stellar. He's a good clubhouse guy. He's focused. This year, he says he's feeling better than he has in the last 5 years. He's shed a lot of that weight, a lot of that muscle mass. But I'll tell you what, he looks really, really primed. And I'm sure he's going to hit all of these goals this year. And let's not forget Hank Aaron, and let's put an asterisk next to Alex Rodriguez because he wasn't a really clean player, we've heard.
No.
And I will say this, Albert Pujols has done it clean, and he's always been a class and great baseball player.
Yeah, for everything we hear, a great man, a great teammate in the clubhouse, all of the above for Albert Pujols. So he could be reaching a very major milestone, actually a couple milestones in the very near future. I think he'll get to 82 RBI on the season. He's in great health, so I don't think an injury is going to slow him down. Fingers crossed. And the 32 hits for 3,000, that will come early on in the season for Big Al, Albert Pujols. When we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, Fox Sports IE 1350 AM, we still need to talk about UC Riverside basketball. The great senior Chance Murray, he's playing in this tournament, Jeff. I've never heard of it. I'm going to ask you about it because I've never heard of this college basketball tournament that they've put together. It sounds kind of wacky, but it's legit, and we're going to talk about that. And then a University of Hawaii running back, Miles Reed, out of Centennial High School in Corona. He will join us live as well. We'll be back. It's the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. All right. I'm going to get up and use the restroom, and I'll be back.
All right, and then is he calling at 5?
Yes. So.
Yeah.
And welcome back to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. We're proudly brought to you by our good friends at Spoiled. Quick, quality oil change. You'll be spoiled by great customer service and low prices. It's right there in the name. Spoiled. Ken Sporting Goods. More than 40 years in the Inland Empire, bringing you all of your sporting gear needs. And, of course, those sweet, sweet Letterman's jackets. That's Ken's Sporting Goods. Boost performance training with Coach Ray Bass. Ask for him by name. Follow them on Twitter. Follow them on Instagram. See all the cool stuff they're doing out there. Check out the strength and speed class. That first one is always free. And, of course, Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road, where you can buy, trade, and finance all in the same place. That's Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road. Sweet new rides in your life. Go check them out. They also got a website. CatalanoCars.com is the website. Well, Jeff, I made that trip to the University of Hawaii not too long ago. I remember I went out there for UCR basketball, and I was trying to track down some of our local guys, and I did have a chance to catch up with Freddie Hawley. He's a running back out of Norte Vista High School for the Hawaii football team, and I was trying to track down Miles Reed. Now, Miles Reed is another running back out of Centennial High School in Corona, and by the time the game started, by the time he got out of class, we just couldn't hook up out there, but I did get a chance to interview Freddie Hawley, and you can find that interview on the Inland Sports Show YouTube channel. But I was kind of remiss not to see Miles Reed out of Centennial High School, but you were telling me that there's a big newspaper article right now detailing how Hawaii football is going to look this year, and that Freddie Hawley and also Miles Reed, they're going to play a big part going forward for the Rainbow Warriors.
Well, yeah, that's true. You know, they're going back to the old run-and-shoot offense that was made famous by the old coach June Jones in 1999. And remember that was a pretty good offense at that time. It was a spread type offense, but they utilized their running backs quite a bit. And I'll tell you what, both of those young men you said are going to have a shot to play a lot this year because they lost all their running backs. So there's only two that are coming back, and one of those, Freddie Hawley, is the only back that is returning that had any kind of carries during the season, and I think he only had like 4 or 5 carries. So they're virtually starting over from scratch.
Yeah, you know, I talked to some family members of Miles Reed, and this was just yesterday, and Miles Reed out of Centennial and Freddie Hawley out of Norte Vista. They're pretty tight. They're close friends, and they're going to share that rock, it sounds like, back there for the Hawaii football team. And we're excited when the IE guys come together, and they're going to help Hawaii hopefully have a big season this upcoming year. But you know, Freddie Hawley, I remember him even going back to his freshman year, Jeff, at Ramona High School. He was always very athletic and very fast. I think what people forget about Freddie Hawley, and this is how I think Freddie Hawley and Miles Reed are going to complement each other, is Freddie Hawley's a pretty big, strong guy. When I saw him at Hawaii, dude, he's filled out. Like, he's a big, strong running back. Of course he's going to be fast, but he's a guy that's going to run between the tackles, and I think he's going to run some guys over too.
So it could be a little thunder and lightning for the University of Hawaii this year.
See, that's what I'm getting at. Like, Miles Reed and Freddie Hawley, I think, will be two great complements to each other. And I think, you know, having them, you know, either split the carries or come down in different situations, you know, in different formations, I think is going to work out great for Hawaii. You know, as local football fans, for our own selfish reasons, I think we get excited about it because we have Inland Empire guys running the show out there for the University of Hawaii. And Hawaii's had some great football teams. Hopefully Miles Reed and Freddie Hawley can be the next two, you know, signature football players to come out of that school. And who knows, maybe make it to the NFL. But first things first, you know, just help get Hawaii be competitive and maybe even win a conference championship this season.
Well, think of it this way. The local connection of guys that have been brought in by the head coach. You have Jeremy Musa, who's already, you know, was already enrolled at the University of Hawaii. You have both Greeley brothers are playing as a quarterback and a wide receiver. So a lot of local Inland Empire ties. Nick Rolovich is really He's the new head coach. He's changed the offense. He's brought, they had an influx of guys leaving the program. Now he finally has guys that he wants, that he recruited, and now it's time to see the Warriors come back to, the greatness that they had there in the Mountain West for a few years there.
Yeah, remember they had those great running backs, Colt Brennan, Timmy Chang.
Michael Brewster.
Yes.
Michael Brewster was great.
They've had some good offenses. I mean, they've always been able to put up a lot of points, and they've gotten guys to the NFL. And you're right, the Greeley twins were out there. I forgot about them. Jeremy Musa, who, remember, they had that early signing period in December for high school football players, and Jeremy Musa actually came in studio with us for Roosevelt High School, and he had just signed with the University of Hawaii. So, I mean, there's tons of IE guys out there. And I think they're all going to make a huge impact, especially on the offensive side of the football. A couple quarterbacks. One of the Greeleys, I'm assuming he's going to be a tight end, right? He's a big, strong kid. I'm assuming he's a tight end. And then 2 running backs.
Yeah, and like I said, Jeremy Musa is already enrolled, so he's playing in that spring ball right now. They're gearing up, and right now he's going to be a backup to Siobhan Cordero, who is really kind of the big name on that roster. But he's going to have a shot because he's in early, and that could help him and benefit the program.
All right, we're trying to track down Miles Reed. He's hoping to join us. Those college student-athletes are super busy between practices and tests and schedules and all that stuff, but we're hoping to get Miles Reed at some point later in the show. Jeff, another thing that we wanted to touch on, because we're about to go into basketball, is the Lakers and Brandon Ingram. We mentioned they're playing the Dallas Mavericks tonight, but Brandon Ingram, he's coming back tonight.
Brandon Ingram is making his comeback, and just think of it, he started to get it going, and then he got hurt. But I'll tell you what, the Lakers, even though they're not going to make the playoffs, they're not going to be probably a 500 ball club. They're starting to pull things together. Brandon Ingram was averaging 16 points a game and 4 assists. He leads in both those categories for the Lakers. So if you can finish out the season strong with these young guys, you don't know who you're going to get in your ball club next year because there will be some changes. It's still good to have the core of your young guys in your future playing together as you finish out the season.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. There's no critical games, but you can use this last handful of games to, like you said, maybe build some team chemistry, see what you kind of got going into next season. And, the Lakers got to be excited about this young nucleus that they have. Now, we weren't sure about Isaiah Thomas. He's a guy who is a bona fide, I would say, all-star, or was an all-star in the NBA. They brought him in. We didn't think he was going to be part of their future plans, and he's certainly not for the rest of the season. He's going on the shelf, and he's going to have surgery.
Yeah, he's going to have arthroscopic surgery to clean up that hip. But here's something that came out today is Brandon Ingram said that Isaiah Thomas has been a really good leader for us since his arrival. Luke Walton has also repeatedly said that he's helped mentor these young Lakers on and off the court, and his impact went way beyond his stats in his short time with the Lakers. He might not re-sign with the Lakers, but there is that outside shot that if Lakers don't get the 2 big, LeBron James, Paul George, or any of those 2, he might be brought back, and he might be brought back on the cheap because right now he's not going to command the amount of money that he was going to get when he was in his prime in Boston. He's going to be really for a discounted price. He could really help out the Lakers next year. I just don't know if he and LeBron can coexist because it didn't work in Cleveland. But it sounds like the Lakers have kind of embraced Isaiah Thomas in his short stint here. They've offered to work him out after his surgery and make sure that they can get everybody in the Lakers organization to help him.
Well, it sounds like, by all accounts, that everyone really likes Isaiah Thomas. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's because he's a bad dude and he's going to disrupt the locker room and guys can't get along with him. It sounds like people genuinely like Isaiah Thomas, and you're right. I mean, if they can get him for a bargain rate, why not keep him around, especially if you know that he is having surgery now on his hip. I don't know what the recovery time is on that, but you would think by the time training camp rolls around in, let's say, September, that he might be good to go. If he's good to go and you get him for a bargain rate, why not keep him around?
Yeah, I mean, and just think about the guy. He's had just the roughest year of almost anybody you can imagine. He loses his sister at the end of last year. He goes down with an injury. With the Celtics were playing so very good under him, and he really just dropped off the shelf. I mean, he was probably going to command 9 figures. You know, he was going to make millions and millions of dollars. Now, like you said, we can get it. The Lakers could get him on the cheap. Anybody that signs him, they're not going to sign him to that multi-year giant contract. It's going to be a mid-level probably exception or a short-term contract. But he could be that guy again. It's just he's had a rough year.
Well, I think when he was first sent to the Lakers this year, when he was first traded, people thought, well, could he coexist with Lonzo Ball in that backcourt? But when I see Isaiah Thomas, I see him more as a scorer. I see him as more as a number 2, like the shooting guard, as opposed to a true point guard where Lonzo Ball fits in. So maybe they could coexist on the court at the same time.
He could. I mean, think about it. He was only playing 26 minutes a game. He came and he averaged almost 16 points a game on a bad hip. He only started one game, so he was playing just sparing minutes. But you look at him, he was right there in the mix, injured and all, and everybody seemed to really kind of like him. Like I said, the Lakers have a really good core of guys. Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, I hate saying it, but Josh Hart. These guys are pretty good players, and they can build around them. I don't think we're going to see Julius Randle much longer in a Laker jersey. But, man, I'll tell you what, these young guys, they've got to be happy going into next year's season, I should say, because they're gonna lose guys. They're going to gain a lot bigger names, and I think the Lakers are going to have a shot next year to make the playoffs for the first time in years, it seems like.
Yeah, Julius Randle's not going to be around, but he sure is playing his butt off at the end of this year. He's going to get a payday, I think, in the offseason. Again, I compared him like to Harrison Barnes when he was with Golden State. You know, had a great year, got a big payday, and now he's off in Dallas. You know, who knows what he's doing in Dallas? I have no idea. I don't even keep track of the Mavericks. Jeff, when we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, we're going to talk 3-on-3 basketball. There's a 3-on-3 tournament involving college basketball. It's almost like a mini March Madness, and the Big West Conference is going to have its own team, and we've got a UCR player in this 3-on-3 tournament. I've never heard of something like this. I'm going to ask you about it. Plus, new head coach David Patrick for the Highlanders. He's got a couple guys, a couple commits already for UCR, so we'll talk about that as well. When we come back, it's the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM. All right.
So how you guys doing? My name is Coach Ray Bass. We're here at the Boost Performance Center today, and here with the one and only Pep Fernandez, and we're going to go over a real basic vertical jump, all right? We're going to teach you guys the technique and its progression. This is a great drill for really any sports, really emphasizes pure power production through the hips, and power is really important for basically any type of athlete, whether you're a football player, track, soccer, basketball. You know, we all want to be powerful, strong athletes. So we're going to go over that today. All right, so first things first, I'm going to have Jacob go ahead and stand with his feet underneath his hips. So you want to have your toes pointed forward. You want your feet to be about hip width, all right? He's going to have his shoulders flexed, all right, in front of his body. So his arms up in front. Okay, now, the most important part here is what's called a counter movement. And what that is I'm going to throw my shoulders back into extension, all right? I'm going to flex my hips, all right? So the shoulders are going to be flexed, and the hips are going to, the shoulders are going to be extended, and the hips are going to be flexed, all right? And then we follow that up with shoulder flexion and hip extension. It's got to be really fast, all right? So right now, I'm just going to show you the first phase of that. So Jacob, I want you to drop your hips into flexion. I want you to throw your arms back into extension when I say go. Ready? Go. Right there. So come up. That's the most important movement there. So after that, it's the landing. All right. So we want to get as high as we can. As I go up, I want to extend through my hips, through my knees, I want my toes pointed up. And when we land, I'm going to land back into that hip flexion, arms extended, and I want to stick the landing. All right. So we're going to go over it now. So now we're going to actually jump here, Jacob. I want to see that counter movement. Go ahead and walk a little bit closer to the hurdle here. We're going to extend on the way up as we elevate, extend through the hips and the knees, stick the landing, throw the arms into extension. Here we go. Ready? On you.
focus on the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. We just greet them, get them going, and they're done in about 10 minutes or so. We don't push any sales on them. We do the oil change, and I think that's what sets us apart is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. You come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
And welcome back to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. We happy you're joining us here on this Wednesday. We're talking more UCR basketball just coming up in a second. Also, Sua Cravens traded finally from the Washington Redskins to the Denver Broncos. So if you're a Raiders fan or a Chargers fan, we're going to be seeing him a couple times each and every season. But right now, let's go to the spoiled Quick Quality Oil Change Celebrity Hotline, and this guy is a friend of the show. We were hoping to catch up with him back home, I'll say, in Hawaii. It's the great running back, Miles Reed. Miles, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Pep?
Good, man. I'm so sorry I missed you when we came out there to the island of Hawaii for UC Riverside basketball, but I'm glad we could finally catch up a little bit. Hey, I've been reading a lot about the University of Hawaii football team right now, and it sounds like you guys lost a lot of players from that team from last season, so there's opportunity for guys to step in and really make an impact, and I feel like you're probably one of those guys. I mean, how do you feel about yourself and your role going into this season?
Well, honestly, like Coach Wello set it up, I mean, it's up for grabs for anybody. And honestly, I'm just gonna work like everybody else is because it's about the team, not about me. I just want to make us better. So if I can get on the field and do that, that's what I'm gonna do.
We're talking with Miles Reed. Of course, you guys know he's out of Centennial High School, big-time running back now at the University of Hawaii. Miles, talk about your freshman season. What are some of the things that you learned along the way just about college football and, going through that environment and having to balance some very challenging classes? I know you're a smart guy. You got great grades, but what was that like going through your freshman season?
Well, honestly, I redshirted, so it gave me an opportunity to adjust and to be able to deal with the challenges of being in college and living on your own and everything. But, I mean, on the school side of it, everything's been the same. It's just go in and attack the classroom like you should. But on the football side of it, it's actually taught me that it's not about just physical talent, but it's more so about the smarts. And, like, you can beat a team just off being smarter than them and studying more and just discovering more what tendencies they have and reading defenses. So, like, on that side of it, football has just taught me that, like, I just need to improve my game more so, not on the physical side, but on the mental side.
Yeah, it's one thing to physically be better than your opponent, but there's another thing to obviously outsmart them. Have great coaches who install a great plan, and you've got smart players that can absorb it. And you're one of those guys. Another guy, we were talking about this on the show that you and Freddie Holly at Anorta Vista, that could be the great 1-2 punch in all of college football. Of course, for our own selfish reasons, we love the IE guys, but you and Freddie at the same place, both running the football. I mean, are you and Freddie tight, and do you feel like you guys can complement each other in the backfield for Hawaii?
Yeah, Freddie's one of the reasons I came to Hawaii. I knew about him before I committed, before I even took my official. So I think that we can build something great there. I mean, there's a lot of great players on this team, not just outside of me and him, but me and him, I feel like can get together and possibly do some big things in the future.
Also, I'm reading. I read a lot of the stuff coming out of the University of Hawaii football team that Coach Rolo wants this run-and-shoot offense. He wants to score a lot of points. And you playing at Centennial High School, I know the offense was probably different, but you guys scored a ton of points as well. Are you excited about the way the offense looks right now for the Warriors going into this season?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Rolo's smart. He knows what he's doing. Him and Coach Brian Smith know exactly what they're doing. This offense is designed to open up a lot of holes for our running backs and get us out into doing different things like catching the ball, and we get to run more routes and everything. So it gets to show our versatility when it comes to pass pro, running the ball, blocking, or pass pro, running the ball and catching the ball and everything. So, I mean, I'm kind of excited for this offense more so than many offenses I've played in.
Well, Miles, you're one of my boost training guys. When you're back home, do you pop in and see Ray Bass and get some work in?
Definitely. I'm 100% boost, so popping in tomorrow actually for a workout later in the afternoon, so should be there a couple times this week.
Well, Ray, obviously he was a San Diego State football star, but he also played at Hawaii. Did he give you any advice about going and playing for this program or living in Hawaii? Did he give you any advice before you left?
Really, just take advantage of my opportunities if they presented themselves in attack. That's it. That's anywhere where you're living. No matter if I was still home at RCC or if I was at USC, just attack and take advantage of your opportunities.
Hey, Miles, I'm just curious. Do you have a major already? Do you know what you want to study?
Yeah, kinesiology.
Look at you, Miles Reed, one of the smartest, greatest guys we know. We always appreciate you taking time for us. Hey, brother, it was finally good to connect with you, and best of luck as you go through spring ball with Hawaii.
I appreciate it, Pep. It was good talking to you, and I'm sorry we missed you when you were down in Hawaii, but glad we could make up for it now.
Yeah, you know what? UCR tipped off, and I was stuck. I was stuck there at the table. I couldn't get up from the broadcast, but I wanted to come out there and see you. But I'm glad we finally got it done, and then hopefully, you know what? We're going to be back out there next year, so maybe I'll see you then.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
All right, that's the great Miles Reed out of Centennial High School, University of Hawaii running back. Thanks, Miles. I appreciate it.
Yep, I appreciate it.
All right, that's Miles Reed here on the show. Join us live on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 a.m. We're going to bring Jeff back into the conversation. If we must, we'll bring him back live on the show. But that was Miles Reed. Between he and Freddie Hawley, that's going to be one heck of a combination, a 1-2 punch for the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors out there, and they're going to score a lot of points. We mentioned the Greeley twins, Jeremy Musa, the quarterback out of Roosevelt. He's going to be in the mix as well. So, Jeff, you were listening to that whole interview, weren't you? I assume you were.
I was, and I was watching it as well. And, I was going to ask you, what the heck are you wearing? That beanie is ridiculous.
I feel like the king of Liechtenstein right now because my beanie's got the big crown on top because I'm basically royalty. So I wear this crown around, and I feel good.
You look like you're hanging out in Siberia. It's 80 degrees,
No,
buddy.
it's cold. Like I walk around there's a little bit of a breeze, so I walk around Orange County, and all the surfers and the golfers and the investment bankers, they all give me high fives, and they're all like, "Man, that guy's royalty. Look at that beanie."
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case, but I did listen to the interview, and I'll tell you what, that offense, if it's going on all cylinders, the Mountain West and San Diego State has been so good the last couple of years. I'll tell you, they have a shot to do some damage, and from the damage is done from the Inland Empire guys.
Yeah, Hawaii's got a long track record of being one of the highest scoring teams in college football. So I think they're trying to get back to their roots and do some of that again. And, if we can get one of our quarterbacks back there, whether it's Greeley or Musa, I know Hawley and Miles Reed, they're going to be involved in that offense somehow, maybe even catching the ball from out of the backfield. But I'm just excited that obviously Hawaii has taken notice of the IE, and they come down here and they recruit hard down here in the IE.
They do, and I'll tell you what, their schedule, they play a brutal schedule every year. It seems like every single year they end up playing these big time programs, and they're gone for the first 5 weeks of the season. So maybe, when they end up playing these big time schools, they're going to get a little bit better next year.
Yeah, I think they just released their schedule. I saw that they closed the season against San Diego State in San Diego. So these guys are going to be coming back to Southern California. I think they played on the road at Colorado State. It's not as bad as the season, I believe it was 2 years ago. Do you remember when they opened up against Cal in Australia, and then they played at Michigan? Like, that is brutal.
Yeah, that was a tough one. In fact, I think the schedule came out. They do play Colorado State. They play Rice. They got Duquesne. They got some smaller schools, but I'll tell you what, that Mountain West Conference is pretty tough. You got, BYU, Nevada's on the rise, and San Diego State has been, really, really good the last couple of years. But they have a shot to win some games here in the preseason before they hit that tough schedule.
Yeah, maybe pick up some wins, get those under their belt before they get to conference play. And like we said, they're going to score a lot of points, no doubt about that. Hey, speaking of points, let's touch on some UCR hoops. We were going to get to that right before Miles Reed called in. Jeff, there's this 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and it involves every single college basketball conference in the country, including the Big West Conference. And our guy, Chance Murray, the super senior for the Highlanders, he's part of this 3-on-3 tournament for the Big West. So it's going to be Chance Murray. It's going to be Leland King from UC Santa Barbara, Gabe Vincent from UC Santa Barbara, and Victor Joseph from Cal Poly. So there's 4 guys, but it's 3-on-3, so you got 1 sub. And it's basically like a little March Madness, but of 3-on-3 basketball. I've never heard of this. Have you heard of this?
I did read up on it today. Now that these guys are no longer amateur athletes, there's a big prize at stake here. Did you see how much money that they're playing for?
Yeah, it was like $100,000.
$100,000 would go well when you split it 4 ways. I mean, $25,000 a pop. That's not too bad.
That's crazy. So the Big West Conference, obviously represented by these guys. But every conference, every Division I college basketball conference is going to have a 3-on-3 team. So we're talking about the SEC, the Pac-12, the ACC, the Big East. I mean, it's going to be tough. And I'm looking at this lineup. That's, what, 3 guards in one big man, Leland King? I mean, is there any strategy, Jeff, that you could share with us when you play 3-on-3? Does it matter if you have a big man?
Well, I think it helps. I would have picked the big guy from Long Beach, Levin, just because he was like a big tough guy.
Was he a senior? Was he? I think he was a senior, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a senior. He's actually playing in the National All-Star game, which is going to be played on Sunday afternoon. It's the Final Four All-Star game where they have the top players around the country, and he is going to be one of the participants. But I will say this: if you play a 3-on-3, you got to have one guy that's like a big bruiser that won't allow layups, and then normally you have little bitty guys. And I think, the Victor Joseph is probably the kind of guy you'd want in a 3-on-3. But I'm not too sure about Gabe Vincent. I know he had a bad knee a couple years ago. I hope Chance does well because I'd love to see him get $25,000. But man, there were a couple other guys I think in the Big West that would have. I would have gone little, and I would have gone with a big bruiser. I think that Levin guy would have been great.
Hey, Jeff, by the way, a great header picture on your Twitter profile. It's UCR in Michigan, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Did you just change that? That looks new.
No, I've always had it. I changed it in the middle of the year because, hey, I'll tell you what, that was the most fun calling a game, and I'm going to tell my grandkids, if I live that long, I'm going to say, look, if Michigan wins this year, I'm going to say, your dad, your grandpa called a game at the University of Michigan when they won the national championship. That's all I'm hoping for because I lost my bracket. I've lost all hope. The only thing I can hope for. The only thing I can hope for is to tell my kids, hey, I got to call a game at the University of Michigan.
That was a big game to just play at the University of Michigan. You saw the football game and all that too. Hey, one other quick UCR note, that new head coach David Patrick got his first 2 new recruits in. It's a guy who comes from out of an academy, a prep school, Ian Krishnan, and I believe that's in New Hampshire, Proctor Academy. So a young guy there, and then also a junior college transfer, Daniel Matting. So he's got his first couple guys. Remember when we talked to him live on the show, he was hot on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, in fact, I think Matting was an original. I think he's originally from Australia. Came out and played in a prep school. Then signed with Texas Tech University. Was not a qualifier, but he was a very good JC player at San Jacinto in Texas. But he's 6'10", a big body, very athletic, and he's somebody that obviously that Coach Patrick has kind of been hot on the trails for. He's an international player, which UCR has had great success with those international players. Menno Dijkstra and Alex Larson both have come from outside the country, as well as the big fellow Edie Diallo. So maybe a little international flair that David Patrick's coming in. But we talked to him 2 days ago, and he said he only had 3 days to recruit. He's already signed or already got 2 commits. So Coach Patrick so far is a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, it's starting to come together now as he enters his first season as the head coach of the Highlanders. When we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, we're going to revisit the NFL. Sua Cravens is headed to the Denver Broncos. The trade has been finalized, and Sua jumped on Instagram, of course, to let everybody know about it. So we're going to read some of his Instagram posts, and I know Greg's a big IG guy, and we'll talk about Instagram and also Sua Cravens and what he's doing going to the Denver Broncos. We'll be back. It's the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM.
Thank God, first of all. I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
We're a small family-owned, strive for quality pre-owned vehicles. We're not a volume dealer, and we take every deal as personal to us. We're a low-stress environment. We're not a pressure sales house. If you want to shop us, you're more than welcome to shop us. We have, like I said, great rates, competitive financing, a lot of one-owner, clean Carfax, clean title vehicles. As you see, we have Carfax everywhere. That's most important to us, to educate our customers before they make a purchase. We're right off of Ontario, right off a couple exits off the 15 freeway, off Cajalco, off El Cerrito, and we're right on the main drag going into Dos Logos and the crossings. We have great financing, we have great lenders that we're using. We do buy, sell, trade, cash for your car. Whatever we need to do to help accommodate the customer, that's what we're here for. We have a little bit of everything. We start at about $69.95 and go all the way up to $100,000. We have Escalades, we have commuters, we have pickup trucks, we have Jeeps, sport utilities, and if we don't have it, our specialty is finding you exactly what you're looking for.
And welcome back to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM. Welcome back. I'm Pep Fernandez. That's Jeff Gorham. Jeff, you know, the NFL free agency period began, and Sua Craven's name was being kicked around by, well, a lot of different teams, to be honest, but the Denver Broncos were the team that were, you know, pretty hot on his trail for a long, long time, and finally a deal got done today, and it's going to be Sua Cravens going to the Denver Broncos. So Denver's going to get Cravens and also a 4th and 5th round pick. The Redskins in return get a 4th and 2 5th-round picks. So same rounds, but a little bit higher picks for the Washington Redskins here. But more importantly, Denver's going to get Sua Cravens. And, Jeff, we've talked about this before. You know, Sua stepped away from the game. They called it, what was it, post-concussion syndrome, I think is what they called it. But he stepped away from the team, and I don't know the exact scenario. I don't know if it was one where, similar to Kawhi Leonard, where the team said, no, you're cleared to play, come on back. And he said, no, I don't feel like coming back. He never returned to the team. He didn't play at all last season. So that was kind of suspicious there, the way he just stepped away from football for a while. And there was talk that he was contemplating retirement, that he didn't want to play anymore. But again, with a guy like Sua Cravens, with a guy like Kawhi Leonard, unless you get direct communication, there's going to be a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of assumption. But now he's going to the Broncos, and it sounds like he wants to play football again.
It sounds like he still might be bat poop crazy.
No, it's Sua, man.
I'll tell you what, he's the kind of guy, and I follow him a little bit. But you know, we talked about the Gruden brother that was his coach. Didn't sound too excited to coach him this year. So maybe a good change of scenery. The air in the Mile High Stadium will jog some memory of playing football, and maybe Sua Cravens will go on a pilgrimage. Maybe he'll walk to the stadium or walk to a training camp, like with a big staff like Moses, and trek from Corona to Denver on a trek, and maybe he'll find his game.
Well, you're right. You brought up a great point. When Coach Gruden was interviewed, I believe it was at the NFL Combine, and they asked him, hey, are you excited to get Sua Cravens back? And he said something to the effect of, well, we know physically he's going to be in great shape and ready to play. We just don't know if he wants to play. So if he shows up, we'll welcome him back. So even he gave a mild, mediocre endorsement on Sua Cravens. Not the fact that he's a bad guy or he can't play in the NFL. It's just, does he have the desire? Does he want to play? And it looked like his time was running out with the Washington Redskins, and apparently it has, because they've traded him to the Denver Broncos, which I think is probably the best thing for Sua Cravens. He gets a fresh new start on a team that really hangs their hat on defense. As an AFC West fan, we get to see him several times a year, as the Broncos will play the Raiders and the Chargers twice every single year. So I think it's a good fit for Sua Cravens and for SoCal football fans who followed him from Vista Marietta High School.
Well, like you said, I joke around and call him crazy because, well, for one, he is crazy, but two, the guy can really play football. You said you've seen so many great football players play in high school, and I think you said he's in the top 3 players you've ever seen play. So maybe he can regain that. He's just a superior athlete. Maybe he gets a love for the game again. And I do wish him success, and I think a new start in a great city. Denver's a beautiful place, and maybe he'll find his mojo again.
Well, you know, in the olden days when a guy would be traded or he'd sign with a new NFL team, you had to wait for that big introductory press conference, but not anymore, because social media, the guys get on there themselves and they start reacting to the trade or who they signed with. So of course Sua Cravens, who posts a lot of cryptic things. You got to like really read into it, like, what does he mean here? But he went to Instagram right away once the deal to the Denver Broncos was done. His first Instagram post was, "Pack your bags, we're going snowboarding." So there was that one, Jeff. That was the first one. And then the second one.
He's nuts.
He's nuts. And then the second one in a series of 3 was, "Ain't none changed but the address." Now, I'm pretty sure Vista Marietta High School has some really great teachers. I think that the old double negative is something that they don't teach down there at Vista Marietta High School. But ain't none changed but the address. That was the second one. And then he capped it all off with the big one. "I was a Bronco back in my high school days. I guess some things never change." Booyah! That was his parting shot on Instagram.
Yeah, he's nuts, but I'll tell you what, it's I am looking forward to seeing him play. Last year was an anomaly. Hopefully he can, like I said, find his mojo, find his groove, and do something rather than just kind of wonder where he is every single week, because that was the case last year. No one knew where he was or what he was doing.
Yeah, you know what? I've liked Sua since he was at Vista Marietta High School. He's one of the greatest football players I have ever seen, and I hope this fresh start in Denver kind of rejuvenates his career. If he wants to play football, I hope this does the trick, because I really want to see him out there on Sundays flying around for the Denver Broncos. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap things up on this Wednesday. Jeff is in Menifee. I'm deep in the Orange County. Greg Holla back in the studio, and we'll be back with the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
We focus on the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. We just greet them, get them going, and they're done in about 10 minutes or so. Push any sales on them. We do the oil change, and I think that's what sets us apart, is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. You come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
I played once upon a time at Centennial High School. I was actually on the first ever CIF championship team back in 2000, and then my senior year we won it again. I think that's my passion because I've done it. I know exactly where these athletes are at. I know what their mindset is right now. I know how hard it is to, number one, find a performance coach who can take you to the next level. What sets us apart has to be, how we work with our athletes and what we know. We can take an athlete and help them reach their athletic potential, help them, prevent injuries, help get them stronger. I know every single athlete who steps into this gym. I know exactly where they're at, and I'm going to progress them every week. If you're not getting results, then, what's it about? We're going to deliver something that's measurable, in terms of speed, power, strength, agility.
We're small, family-owned, strive for quality pre-owned vehicles. We're not a volume dealer, and we take every deal as personal to us. We're a low-stress environment. We're not a pressure sales house. If you want to shop us, you're more than welcome to shop us. We have, like I said, great rates, competitive financing, a lot of one-owner, clean Carfax, clean title vehicles. As you see, we have Carfax everywhere. That's most important to us, to educate our customers before they make a purchase. We're right off of Ontario, right off a couple exits off the 15 freeway, off Cajelco, off El Cerrito, and we're right on the main drag going into Dos Logos and the crossings. We have great financing. We have great lenders that we're using. We do buy, sell, trade, cash for your car. Whatever we need to do to help accommodate the customer, that's what we're here for. We have a little bit of everything. We start at about $69.95 and go all the way up to $100,000. We have Escalades, we have commuters, we have pickup trucks, we have Jeeps, sport utilities, and if we don't have it, our specialty is finding you exactly what you're looking for.
And we are back on the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. Jeff, guess who wants to enter the NBA draft?
Jello or Mello or
Oh no! Listen, the middle ball is going to the NBA draft. That's a done deal. No, your boy Tracy Murray. He just put on Instagram. This is what he said. I think I'm going to enter my name in the 2018 draft to test the market. Can I do that? I swear my parents had me 27 years too early. He did. You know how much money's flying around? Tracy Murray's probably seen all the money that was left out there.
Oh, I'll tell you what, and I know it's an inside gig or an inside joke there is guys are saying now that the middle ball brother might get drafted. And I think that's kind of the joke or the play there.
Who would do that?
Yeah, well, a couple guys said that he might get drafted, which is just a joke. You can't. There's no way possible you can draft that human being to play in the NBA.
That human being.
No, I can't even call him a basketball player.
What kind of world are we living in right now?
Yeah, but Tracy Murray though, if he was back in the day, because the way he could shoot, he had a great career anyways. He played 14 or 15 years. He would have commanded huge money in the way that guys play now because he could shoot the ball.
Yeah, I would assume like for professional, whether it's NBA guys or NFL or Major League Baseball, they probably look at the money that's being thrown around these days and think, oh my gosh, why was I not, like Tracy said, why was I not born like 2 or 3 decades later? Because there's so much money to be made now. Not that he didn't make money, because I'm sure he made a nice little chunk. But man, the money these days is insane.
Yeah, and the draft, the way things are going, they're going to be there's no more one and dones. What it sounds like the NBA is going to get rid of that, and the sounds like the G League or the minor league system is going to get changed around a little bit. So, I think the college landscape will change slightly, not as much as people think. Because really, how many guys, will go 1 year and then be done and be very successful? And how many guys will come out of high school and be that successful? So, It will change a little bit, but not much. And the Ball brother will never, ever play in the NBA. I promise you.
Well, Jeff, we got to wrap this up. I'm getting cold out here. I mean, I've pulled my Liechtenstein beanie way down because it's getting really cold, and I'm battling the elements out here sitting on the back porch in my flip-flops. So we got to wrap this up. It's all brought to you by our good friends at Spoiled. Quick quality oil change. You'll be spoiled by great customer service and the lowest prices. It's in the name. Spoiled. Quick quality oil change. You get the flour and the mint on the way out. Of course, our good friends at Ken's Sporting Goods, more than 40 years. That doesn't happen by accident, everybody. They've been around more than 4 decades, providing you with all of your sporting gear needs and team sales. So if you need all matching T-shirts or hats or pullover sweaters or whatever you might need, polo shirts, Ken's Sporting Goods can hook it all the way up. Hey, you want to get bigger, stronger, faster? You want to win that starting job? You're looking for a scholarship? You need to go check out Ray Bass and his team at Boost Performance Training in Corona. Check out the website, boosttrainingsystems.com, and make sure you follow them on Twitter and Instagram. And finally, Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road, the only place to go buy that car or truck, that sweet new ride in your life, where you can buy, trade, finance, all in the same spot. No pressure, no headaches, easy, smooth car shopping experience. That'll do it for this show, and we will see you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and we'll talk more about Major League Baseball opening day. For Greg Holla and Jeff Gorham, I'm Pep Fernandez. We'll see you next time on the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM. Jeff, I think that's a wrap.
It is a wrap, and I'm getting off the phone with you because I'm going to do it.
No, you're not.
I am. I gotta go.
You're going to go buy hot dogs and broccoli.
No, I got to do. The kids are asleep, and I'm ready. I got to go.
All right, good luck.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.